time.
Good evening. I call this meeting to order pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and is amended as of March 28, 2025. This meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by watching the Duxbury Government Access Channel, Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. Viewers can visit thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on YouTube. Our next order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is open forum. Anything from the board? Cindy.
I had one thing, because I can't remember whether I had announced it before, is that the Coastal Resiliency Task Force received a CZM grant. For work in the upper Bluefish River Basin, and that's sort of going through the process now, and we should be getting started on it soon. And I'd like to be able to put it on the agenda for a presentation from them on the 17th, if that's...
Okay, Brainy is looking at our going forward schedule. I'm seeing a thumbs up, so
Yes, sir. Yep.
we'd be happy to entertain that.
Great, thank you.
And thanks to the task force
Yes.
for pursuing that.
They worked really, really hard on it.
I'm sorry, what was the agenda item or
Oh,
discussion?
the Coastal Resiliency Task Force received a CZM grant.
Oh, great.
For water quality and
Excellent.
whatever. Yeah.
That'd be great to hear.
May I add?
Of course.
Just on another agenda item that I think that we're going to have to address sooner rather than later, and I did speak to Rainey about this, is the McNeil dump. I think a lot of the decisions that we're being asked to make really need input from not only other boards and committees, but the public at large. So, you know, what do we want to use the property for? What's the best use? You know, what's the consensus? So, because our decisions will kind of shake down from the bigger picture issues. So, I'm hoping to get that on as well.
Yep. Okay. Mike.
Do you have anything in your town manager report or in the announcements about the opt-out? There's a forum on the opt-out for the
Municipal aggregation?
I think people got notices in the mail, got a couple of texts about it. I just want to make sure the public's aware of the time period they have to change their choice or opt out or opt up.
Well, it's pretty clear on
and I
the...
just want to make sure that's made.
And I'm going to say it twice then, if you don't mind.
Great.
Go right ahead.
Beginning and the end. To your point, in the announcements, there is information related to the Municipal Aggregation Public Information Forum. Members of the Alternative Energy Committee and representatives of Colonial Power Group will be hosting 2 informational sessions regarding the town's new municipal aggregation program on the following dates, and they're both this week. November 5th from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Senior Center in the second floor large classroom, and November 6th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Senior Center, also on the second floor large classroom. And actually there's a Zoom option as well. And for more information, you can visit the Alternative Energy Committee's webpage on the town's website, or visit Colonial Power, or call Colonial Power at 866-485-5858, extension 1.
And just to add to that, we have a great press release on the website. You can also go on colonialpowergroup.com/Duxbury, and you can change your choice right there. It's pretty easy. You just need a copy of your Eversource bill. And there's some information on your Eversource bill we need, but it's pretty easy to change if you want to opt up, opt down, stay with what the default is.
Thank you, Mike. I have a few things, and then we'll open it up to the public. First, an unknown person initiated an email phishing attempt at Town Hall last week. The message was, "I have a request I need you to handle discreetly. I'm going for a meeting and I need you to reply by email. No calls." What made this attempt particularly notable is that the hacker purported to be me. So I thank Town Hall staff who reported the email and for quickly recognizing that it was a phishing attempt rather than a rude email from the actual board chair.
You knew right away, Brian.
We did?
Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't written in your voice, we could tell. I'm not kidding you.
Next, you may be aware that the Army and Navy both celebrated their 250th anniversaries earlier this year. The Marine Corps' 250th is a week from today, November 10th. But the Marines don't call it an anniversary. Does anybody know?
Birthday.
Thank you. We call it a birthday. And I wish all Marines in Duxbury a very happy birthday next week,
Happy birthday, Dad.
Including you.
including me. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
A couple more things. On the same day, November 10th at 8:30 a.m., there will be a Veterans Breakfast at the Senior Center. There's no charge, but reservations are required. Please, interested veterans can RSVP by calling the Senior Center, and I'd like to acknowledge with sincere appreciation the efforts of the team at the Senior Center for making this happen. And finally, the Duxbury American Legion will be holding its annual Veterans Day observance on Tuesday, November 10th at 11 a.m. So it's 11 at 11. All are invited, and I will be offering remarks on behalf of the town. Do we have anything from the public for open forum? I don't see anyone. Anybody online? I see, is that just a hand hovering over Sheila, or does she have her hand raised?
I think that's the mouse.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
think
mouse.
the mouse.
Okay. Great. No problem, no problem. All right, I see that it is 6:37, which is beyond the time of 6:35 of the published notice for the tax classification hearing. So why don't we go ahead and open that? I believe we need a motion.
I move that the select board open the public hearing regarding tax classification.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call for the roll. Mike?
Michael, aye.
Brian, aye.
Amy, aye.
Cindy, aye.
All right, the hearing is open. This will be presented by our Director of Assessing, Scott Timmelty.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Welcome to the team. Welcome.
so much, I appreciate that. Well, that being said, good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Timothy. I'm the Director of Assessing here for the town. On behalf of the Board of Assessors, which include Linda Colari, Ed Wadsworth, James McNabb, and our new Assistant Assessor, Brian Miller, right here next to Mary.
Hi, Brian.
We're going to just provide an overview of the property values for 2026
Scott, before you continue, I'll just, the microphone's great, it's for home, but I know there's folks all over the room. If you can just project your voice a little bit more so we can all hear you in the room. Thank you.
So on behalf of the Board of Assessors, this presentation will provide an overview of the property values in town, their classification, and how taxes can be shifted among the classes to fund the tax levy. Next slide. Thank you. As you can see there, the total real and personal property assessed value for FY 2026 is $7,298,713, which is 4.63% of an increase over FY 25. The average single-family home assessed value for FY 26 is going to be roughly $1,301,500, which is a 4.7% increase over FY 25's assessed value of 1.242. So as you can see here, our valuation for real and personal property value, you can see the residential is making up roughly 96.53% of the total valuation for the town. Commercial makes up roughly 2.1%. Industrial is $3,573,810. And personal property is $102,045,840, which represents roughly 1.34% of the $7.6 billion in assessments. So remember that when we're going to be looking at the actual shift down the road here. Next slide. Thank you. The 10-year valuation historically, you can see from 2017 has gone from just a little shy of $4 billion up to where it is today, roughly $7.6 billion in assessment. So you can see back in 2022, the increase started.
Scott, if I can just stop you just for a sec. Hey, Zach, with the local scene, are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Okay?
And
All right.
you're working on it?
I
Okay.
can't hear him at home.
Yeah, it sounds like that microphone might be having a little trouble. I did try swapping out the batteries on it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's over.
Sorry, we won't make you start again.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Is it just that
Did he
one?
just say, so this is the average home price?
No, I think
No,
the
microphone.
median.
The median, okay.
Like closer to one, not one.
So maybe 003.
Sorry about that.
Could be. I think it's $1 million is the median. That's what most towns. But they try to be, I think,
All right, let's give that a try.
How's that, better?
actual praise.
Sounds
Any
good.
better?
As long as folks at home can hear and the folks in the room can hear, we'll be all right. Why don't we give it a try and we can adjust as needed. So we're on slide, I don't see numbers on here. But
10-year valuation history, which should be slide 4.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so as you can see in 2022, the valuation started to increase around the COVID years, and it's continued that trend upwards from 23, 24, 25 to where it is today for $7.6 billion in assessed value. So,
So if I could just jump in with a question.
Perhaps use the 6 microphone that's up there.
Sure,
All right,
absolutely.
sure, let's do that.
Sorry about that.
Want to join us up here and sit?
One play ball.
Do you want to sit, or do you want
Yeah,
to
why-
bring a seat over?
Cindy, you can sit
Yeah, have it just sit, yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Oops, let me give you some room, for goodness sake. Wasn't expecting company.
Sorry, that's the worst chair, that's why it was.
that's okay. How's that, better?
So Scott, values have roughly
is this
doubled
on?
in 10
It is,
years.
okay.
Yep.
If you're getting into that, let me I'll defer to your later conversation, but if it's not something we're going to cover, do you have some info on how to account for that?
Basically, year over year, you're seeing these increases basically due to the cost of the materials. Ever since COVID, the cost of materials has actually just skyrocketed. Jamie, you could probably shed some light on that too. But with the amount of permits that are coming through and the values that are being charged based upon the actual additional increase in overall building cost, I'd like to say it was going to stabilize, but there's no way of even knowing that. So that's what's caused it. And as I said, you can see from 2022, that's when the increase really took off. And that's when not the values, but the actual cost increases for materials came into play. Because you had contractors paying an exorbitant amount of money for less material because the materials weren't around. So that's what was causing that. And it's just continued to follow suit because once values go up and the prices go up, it's very hard to see them fall.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Nancy, next slide. FY 2026 taxable value by class. You can see the increase over 2025. Between 26 and 25, residential went up 326,904,941, which is a 4.67% increase. Commercial, you can see actually because of the amount of commercial we have here in Duxbury, that also went up $4 million, $4,970,462, which is a 3.25% increase. Industrial, same way. Everything seems to just keep going on that upper trajectory, which is also 2.9%. Personal property, look what's happening there. Same thing. Now, the personal property is a little bit of a misnomer because included in the personal property are utilities. And utilities fluctuate tremendously from one year to another. And you'll see that as evidence within the next upcoming slides. But I just wanted to point out that this table overall shows the change in value in the 4 classes from 25 to 26. We had roughly 191 arm's length transactions, property sales, in calendar year 2024. So when we're setting the values for fiscal year 2026, we had to use sales that took place in calendar year 2024. That's just the way it is with the Department of Revenue. You're always fighting a year and a half in arrears when you're dealing with assessments. So you're looking at data that's a year and a half old, already old. So we're starting to see it now with the increase in sales. Things that you wouldn't believe are what they're selling for, though. Over and above list price, it's still happening. Just to get to this point, we have an internal review by neighborhood that determines what changes need to be made in each neighborhood and whether a shift needs to be made from one neighborhood to another. And we have the Department of Local Services, which are basically the state. They review our values. They look at our sales. They want to make sure that our arm's length sales are truly arm's length sales. And not only that, but they'll look at the assessment, what we call the ASRs and the CODs. The ASR is assessment to sale ratio. We try to strive for 95% ASR, okay? And that is a really good number, and it should be a consistent number. You don't want swings that go from 90 to 110%. So we always strive to at least get it in that range of roughly 95% ASR. And the CODs as well, which means a coefficient of dispersion. And the state looks at this stuff, and if there's any questions, those questions all get answered. And once all the questions are answered, they'll approve your sales. And then you get to the next point, which is your increase in overall growth. So there's a lot of analysis that goes in, a lot of inspections that go in, because every sale that takes place between Brian and I, we'll be going out and seeing those properties just to make sure that we're not missing anything. And that's how we keep our data up to date in our CAMA system, which we use Vision. In the CAMA system, data is only as good as the amount of work that you put into it. So if the sales are coming in at a certain dollar amount, you want to make sure that you're not going to have assessment to sale ratios that are just totally just off the charts crazy, either too low or too high. If they're too high, an inspection will normally point that out. Not only inspections, but MLS. We'll review MLS for the sales data, and we'll look at what do the pictures, the internal pictures look like, because we have the MLS system to do that. So we see all the interior photos of properties that we may never get into, but at least we've done everything that we can possibly do, including near map, to make sure that the integrity of our data in the camera system is really fine-tuned, really fine-tuned. So, next slide, Nancy. Oh, thank you. The next slide is fiscal year 2026 single-family class 101. You can see our parcel count went from 4974 in 25 to 4980. And using a proposed $10 tax rate, your average bill, as I mentioned earlier, was going to be roughly $13,015, or an increase over 25 of roughly 3.3%. And the average assessed value was going to go in 25 from $1,242,000 to roughly $1,3015,000, which represents a 4.7% increase.
So that's the median.
The median, that's the average. The median bill is roughly $10,110.
That's based on a median value of what is the median value? So we're almost in 25, it's 965, and in 26,
Correct.
It's 1 million.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and that represents a 4.8% increase. And as I said earlier, based upon that pie chart, you can see that the single-family 101s, residentials, are roughly 96.5% of the entire parcel count here in the town. So, as I said, remember that when we talk about the shift, which will be coming up. The total tax levy is roughly 76 million, $2,987, which represents 3.19% change over 2025. And the debt, it looks like the debt fell to $5 million. I'm sorry. So which represents a decrease of roughly 5.9%. The tax classification hearing options, we talk about the selecting a residential factor or the shift in deciding whether we want to do a discount to open space, which very rarely any town here on the South Shore even does. Adopt the residential exemption, affects only residential properties. And adopting a small commercial exemption, which affects commercial and industrial. And this slide says, as it shows, the town has never voted for these shifts. Doing so would shift the tax levy burden within a class or throughout all classes by adopting items number 2, 3, and 4. Now, next slide. Thank you, Nancy. Shifting the tax burden from 1 to 1.5. I believe in your fact sheet, I had provided that what-if scenario.
Yep.
And we actually took it down and made it like simple. On the next slide, you can see the residential factor, a shift of 1, the average tax bill would be the $13,000. The average commercial tax bill would be roughly $11,990. Now, if we were to shift that all the way to a 1.5 shift, it would lower the residential tax rate to $982, reducing the annual residential tax rate or tax factor per parcel, $234. But it would increase the commercial shift to almost $6,000, just to save $234 off the residential rate. And I believe the rule of thumb is if you have 20% commercial or above, that's when shifts come into play. But when you have literally, like, I think the number was 3.5% between commercial and industrial, that's a problem. That's a real problem. Any question, Mike?
No.
Okay. Okay. So, open space, we just talked about that a few minutes ago, as far as how most towns on the South Shore, I don't believe there are many communities that even use the open space discount. Same thing with the residential exemption. As of fiscal 2025, there were no South Shore towns using this provision, with the exception of maybe the Cape. Okay. There you go. Fiscal year 2026 new growth. You'll see that the levy growth from 2025 to 2026. In 2025, we had $641,000 in levy growth. That's from permits, inspections, and in order to get that kind of growth, you have to have roughly $63 million in increased assessments in order to do that. So that requires an awful lot of inspections in order to get to that point, an awful lot. So if you look at 2026, the levy, the total growth value went to 57,368,720, which is a 10% decrease. So one might ask why. It decreased because of a couple of different things. The number of inspections that we did, we were down almost one person, because our other assessor left in May. So we were already down a person, and Brian started with us in September. But the crux of it is there were a lot of new construction starts that took place during that point in time that had what we call UCs on the property, which basically means it's under construction. Now, if you have UCs on the property, you're not capturing all of that growth. So you're not capturing it 100%, even though technically the house may look done from the outside, but it might not be done on the inside. And that's what you'll find happened in this case. So what we didn't capture in 2025, we'll capture that growth this coming year. So it'll just move forward. So that's what will happen. Also, in addition to that, I had mentioned how utilities swing quite frequently. In personal property, Eversource Gas in 2025 gave us new growth of $2 million that became in 2026 $400,000 overnight. So that's a big number to make up. So that's why personal property is down. So, and there's no rhyme to reason as to what's coming down the pike through these utility companies. You won't get any information out of them.
I'm not sure I understand the utility company part of this. Am I alone here?
No, I don't. Sure.
Well,
Can you explain?
it's considered personal property. So, Sure. Okay, thank you.
So when I think of personal property
Yep.
and the tax that people pay, you know, some businesses in
Yep.
town must, you know, pay for their equipment
Right.
and computers and such. And
Correct.
that's the personal tax.
Correct.
I don't understand the utility component.
The utilities have always been in the assessed values for this town, and it's not just this town, it's all over. The utility companies.
Scott, can you speak up? Just,
For the lines.
so everybody in the back can hear you.
No, the
mic doesn't
microphone
amplify.
doesn't work. It doesn't amplify.
Okay, Jamie.
They can never hear me either.
The way the utilities work, they always run it through personal property. It's not part of the residential, it's not part of the commercial, it's not part of industrial, it's personal property. And again, it's not just here in Duxbury, it's all over. The utility lines for Eversource, for Verizon Wireless, for AT&T, the poles on the street.
Okay, so it's the actual infrastructure for the
Yes.
utilities.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Is
Yep,
this the
thank you.
established infrastructure, or is it just new start?
There's no, we need to put you on a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can yell really loud.
No, it's for the folks at home.
So the utility lines, this is an issue for every community. The utility lines that are physically present in your community are taxable and payable to the community in which they are physically present. So the state is the one who does the valuations for all of the utility lines, and they're just classified because they're not classified as a parcel. They wouldn't be considered a real estate bill. They are covered under what Scott, I apologize, what Scott is describing as personal property. So it's a component of personal property. The values, because they're so complex and unique, and they affect the entire Commonwealth, those values are set by the state and then distributed out to the community so that we can include them in our tax levy.
And who pays the tax on those? The
The
utilities?
utility companies,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Well, we do, because it's
Well,
in our
yeah.
utility bill.
One pocket or the other, right?
So we all good there?
Yes,
Yep.
thank
Okay.
you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And again, just going back, it kind of follows the open space and the residential exemption, small commercial exemption as well. You know, we've never had a commercial exemption, a small commercial exemption here in Duxbury. So that being said, I guess that's a decision you guys would have to make on that, whether you wanted to have an exemption. So, and last but not least, again, the summary of FY26 levy, if you look at the total, in 2025, we had $73,654,135. And in 2026, look at what it is. It's just gone up 3%, with an excess levy capacity of 259,507. So, and that's using an estimated tax rate of $10 a thousand.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions from the board for our Director of Assessing? This is a public hearing. Any questions from the public to our Director of Assessing? Or would any of our assessors like to add anything? All right. Mike?
Just a general question. I see it in the fact sheet here, but I always try to square how our tax levy is created as compared to the decrease in the tax rate. We're only decreasing the tax rate by 1.3%. And, you know, our home bills, our home values have gone up 4.75%. Is this a function of our tax levy increasing over the last year?
Well, basically, with the tax rate is nothing more than your levy over your total assessed value. So it's just the math. So I would say it is a function of the values increasing year over year.
And I'll just take a piece of it,
Yep.
the CPA surcharge.
Yep.
That's a very individual thing because it's based off your tax bill. It's a surcharge. So why does that factor into the overall town's tax rate? So with the tax levy, you add the $2 million into the levy that the CPA surcharge is.
Correct.
Why does it affect the entire town when it's an individual thing that's based off your tax bill?
Well, unless I'm missing it, Mike, I would say each person is going to pay their own amount.
Surcharge.
Right, correct,
Right,
for the CPA and the actual surcharge itself.
right.
So, do you want to shed some light on that?
Yeah, why is it not carved out is why I'm under.
Yeah, and this is our finance director, Mary McKinnon.
Sorry, I apologize for my back. We're having technical difficulties. So this does not include the CPA surcharge. The CPA surcharge is over and above this. Tonight,
Thank you.
the classification hearing is strictly for the tax rate on the base tax bill. The CPA is a surcharge, a 3% surcharge
Right.
on top of that. But that is not part of the classification hearing. Town meeting has already adopted the 3%.
Correct. I just want to make sure, because .5 on the fact sheet seems to say that the CPA surcharge amount, the estimated revenue from it, is included in this factor to creating the tax rate.
So it is, in terms of the decision that you're making. So the factor is essentially, the board is making a decision on whether we're going to have a single or what's called a uniform tax
Yes,
rate,
I get
or
that.
we have a split tax rate.
Sure.
And then based on the result of that, the CPA surcharge then is calculated on each individual bill as a 3% surcharge. And if I could, just to sort of go back to your earlier question about the decrease in the tax rate. So as Scott had described, I always call the tax rate sort of the variable that is calculated for you, right? So that it's not something that is an influence from the process, but it is the result of the process. So and the formula simply is tax levy divided by total valuation. And what you're seeing, and what Scott's slides have illustrated, is that the growth in the valuation, or the denominator, has grown at a higher rate than the growth in the levy, and therefore it causes the rate to go down. When we see growth in the levy at a rate that's higher than the growth in valuation, you'll see the inverse of that. So it's the result of an algebraic equation.
Yep.
And it's actually good news. I mean, I know we were kind of a little bit seemingly horrified at the big numbers, but that's all very good news for us as property owners in town. Our values are extraordinary. I think it speaks to, a lot of good decision-making over the years. And here we are. It's hard, certainly, for our kids to afford to move here, and first-time home buyers and people who are trying to retire and all that. But for us, that have value property, it's very valuable. So it's good news.
And of course, the purpose of tonight is simply for the board to determine what our tax rate is going to be. If we're going to have a single or a split tax rate, not what our taxes should be. Those are all different decisions. This is more of an administrative decision this evening. And with that, I'd like to move to the vote, if we could, unless there are other questions. I think we've pretty much straightened it out. I know there's a lot to it, and Scott and the assessors, I will ask that at some point, there have been a number of residents who have asked how their properties are valued the way they are, or how certain zones are determined, where the lines ought to be. So I think it would be worthwhile for us to maybe have a joint meeting at some point to go through the underlying processes, because those questions do exist, but that's not something we'll get into tonight.
Sure. Anytime, Brian.
Great, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, and thanks to the assessors. And Brian. Welcome. All right, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that the Select Board vote to adopt a single tax rate for FY26 by setting a residential factor of 1 and to also authorize and allow Scott Timmelty, Director of Assessing, to sign the LA-5 out online in the DOR gateway system on the Select Board's behalf.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the roll. Mike?
Michael, aye.
Brian, aye.
Amy will abstain.
Cindy, aye.
And I
Okay.
only abstain because my husband is on the Board of Assessors, so I've been asked to abstain.
Okay. We can close the hearing.
I move that the Select Board close the public hearing regarding tax classification.
Second.
We have motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the roll. Mike?
Michael, I.
Brian, aye.
Amy, aye.
Cindy, aye.
All right, terrific. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you, Scott.
Oh, anytime, my pleasure.
I think I'm going to be having lots of company.
Next
today.
on our agenda, which is a new added item, is a discussion pertaining to Powder Point Bridge, presented by Christine Hill. I'll note that this matter developed over the weekend, which is why it was added late to the agenda, and I'll just note for the record that according to the open meeting law guide published by the Massachusetts Attorney General, if a discussion topic is proposed after meeting notice is posted, and it was not reasonably anticipated by the chair more than 48 hours before the meeting, the public body should update its posting to provide the public with such notice as possible as to what subjects will be discussed. Although a public body may consider a topic that was not listed and it was not anticipated, the Attorney General strongly encourages public bodies to postpone discussion that are controversial or may be of particular interest. So this is something, as I said, after the meeting notice was timely posted last week. There was a development over the weekend that I thought was significant enough for this board to be able to ask questions of without posting as an action item. My concern was that this would have only been something that was brought to us in open form and would have not allowed for discussion. And it's not something I think should have waited 2 weeks. So this is an opportunity for the town to inquire on this issue, well, for Christine to present it, for the town to inquire, and for the board to be updated on something I think is of interest to everybody in town. So with that, Christine, I'll
Can I
recognize
just
you.
ask, what was significant about it over the weekend that it couldn't have been posted?
I didn't learn about it until Saturday.
What is significant about it before we get to this?
The Save Our Bridge group has changed its position.
No, I changed my mind.
Okay.
I changed my mind as the founder of the group.
Can you
Okay,
speak into the
oh, we need a mic.
microphone.
Or you
Is that
can,
one working? No, it's not even
There's
there.
no light there.
Oh, okay.
why don't you come on up?
Well, I
It's gonna
just,
look silly.
Why?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Seems a little silly, but okay. So I went to the Powder Point Bridge Advisory Committee a few days ago, and Ed Mayo had a list of 50 waivers that he's asking for from the from MassDOT, which basically take care of every single thing that we could possibly want in the bridge, except for to have 550 pilings. It takes care of the size of the bridge, it takes care of wood on top, it takes care of, the size, the width, it takes care of the traffic barriers, it takes care of the rating, it takes care of not having these really wide sidewalks, everything. So that's the genesis of the meeting. And if you're wondering why that's significant.
yeah, and I'm trying to understand from a chair, what is the significance of a single member of the community raising this concern over the weekend, that it shouldn't be posted in the normal course or posted with the Powder Point Bridge?
Sure. The difference was, it could have been posted for 2 weeks from now. But given the interest of the community in this process, and given this just popped up, it was my judgment that it warranted a discussion by this board, where there was a change of position on an advocate that had been on the opposite side of this issue. And since that was, in my view, a significant change to where things had been positioned, that it was something the board needed to be aware of as soon as possible and give you an opportunity to inquire. As I said, the alternative would have been Christine just came and
says something in
said
open
something,
forum.
but we couldn't have had a discussion on it.
I don't know, we have no materials, we got this PowerPoint today, but the community is, it sounds like people are here from her group that are now upset.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, so I
yeah.
just, with a little bit more, I don't know. This is,
You only have 4 weeks between now and when they're supposed to present the design of the bridge, and I think it's really important that the community know about the 50 things that Ed has asked for
No.
and be given a chance to weigh in on them. They're incredibly important.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Ed's none.
Go ahead. Ed had suggested that we hold off on discussing the waiver request until they had been presented with the first set of drawings.
Okay.
They were in a public meeting.
I'm
So,
just telling you what Ed suggested. I
All
got
right.
his email.
so 4 weeks, we're not expected to make any decision in 4 weeks. I thought we were kind of taking the approach that we were looking at all the options. Whoever is advocating for different options at this point, I mean, everybody's important. I don't mean to say
Yeah,
that, but.
and I appreciate the advocacy.
And I appreciate people advocating, but I want everybody to be able to share ideas, have all options available, and respectfully and thoughtfully look at everything that, we can do, what we maybe can't do. And then, once we gather all that information, then start making decisions. But certainly, I won't be making any decisions in 4 weeks. I don't think any of us are
No,
going to be.
and we won't be making any decisions tonight, certainly. This was an informational issue only. And I'm happy to move it a couple weeks if that's the board's pleasure, but I thought this was something that was significant, given that we've had a presentation from the DOT that I think was very helpful and informative. We've got a committee that's looking into this, and there was a group that was opposed, and I thought, given the fact that at least the leader of the group had expressed an interest in changing position, I thought that was something the board ought to be aware of.
I applaud your showing up to the meetings and relaying that information. I worry about and I was just peeking at the Attorney General's notice there. I worry that it is a matter of public concern, that the public truly cares about and truly wants to have a voice about. And I'm still trying to get my arms wrapped around the urgency or significance of the late posting of it, and just from an open meeting standpoint. And I truly mean that. I thought that something developed over the weekend that required that this be put on the agenda.
Well, to
And
me,
that was kind of my understanding
Yep.
of it as of 2 hours ago.
yep, well, it
I
seems
just-
significant to me, and obviously, we can't speak as a group outside of a publicly
We can't,
posted
yeah.
session, so I exercised my discretion in putting it on as something that was not foreseeable within 48 hours, so.
And I mean, we can always meet, and if there's a meeting that's posted with when are the PowerPoint Advisory Committee, when are they meeting again?
Can I speak for, the issue here is that as a community, if we don't push for these waivers, Ed is going to be negotiating them with MassDOT over the next 4 weeks. I want everyone to know, I understand what Rainey's saying, but I want everybody to know about these waivers. Because if we get these waivers, we're very close to getting something that's similar to the Powder Point Bridge. If we don't get these waivers, it's going to be much more difficult. So I really wanted everybody to know about what was going on. And I also, I understand what Amy's saying about wanting all the options out there, but I have a background as somebody who went around the world looking at infrastructure projects. And I have been very concerned about recent developments where people are trying to short-circuit processes that are the appropriate processes for looking at investments over a 100-year time frame. Those are very serious investments, and they have to be done with processes very carefully. A small town like ours should not be experimenting. We've experimented twice in the past 40 years on the Powder Point Bridge. It hasn't worked out either time. And so that is what I wanted to talk about.
And I
Just,
wanna say-
Rainey, if you could just give everybody a status of what we authorized our Powder Point Advisory Board to do and includes Sheila Scarzy.
Again, I just want
Yeah.
to clarify, what I said was Ed's words, not mine.
Yeah,
He wanted to hold off on discussing the waiver request. No, they're advisory to the board. The Powder Point Bridge Advisory Committee is advisory to the board, and their liaison is Fernando. And if they do something or want to discuss something, they bring it back to the board. If they want you to weigh in on something, that's how that works.
and is there any, and this, I go to the significance of this over the weekend, is there anything to think that Ed's going to be hampered over the next 2 weeks from pursuing those waivers, because we authorized that?
He doesn't want to, as he said in his email, we should hold off on discussing the waiver requests until they present us with the first set of drawings. So he wants the drawings to come in, and those waivers, based on what he's saying here, it seems as though he was holding them in abeyance to see if they were necessary to discuss in the first place, because many of them may already be addressed in the
Oh, well,
drawings.
that's-
But we don't know because the drawings come out 4 weeks from now.
May I ask a
Go right ahead.
question about, again, I hear what Mike is saying. It was certainly unusual to have a last-minute agenda item added, and I'm not questioning the chair. I think he thought that this was of some significance. But I guess I want to find out, Christine, are you here, because you did, you were kind of the leader of a large group, or so I was understood. Are you here on behalf of the group?
No, there were two separate attempts to change the bridge project. One started with a few people last September. If this goes through, this kind of bridge goes through, we will have gotten everything we wanted. And then there was, after that, there was
You
the
mean
powder.
the state proposal?
What they said if these kind of waivers go through, we will have everything we want.
In your opinion.
Nobody called on you, and you can talk later.
That's all right, we'll have a chance to discuss.
Yeah. That group would have gotten everything that it wanted, which was to have, remember when Sheila Lynch Benton came and talked about how we wanted something like the Mitchell River Bridge project, because a wood bridge was going to be very difficult. If we get something like this, we will have literally everything we want. And what I want to encourage people to do is I want to encourage people to support Ed Mayo's project and to support his attempt to hire a historical consultant, because that historical consultant will be able to go into MassDOT, help him, and help negotiate a good deal for Duxbury. I'm afraid that if we wait 2 weeks, that we'll be 2 weeks closer to the first design drawings coming out, and he will have missed some of his opportunity to negotiate these.
Cindy?
Yeah, what has happened with that process about the town having a historical design
I
person?
thought we had some money on board
Nothing.
for that.
We're waiting for more money. We have roughly, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5,000 in the treasurer's office, but
Oh, I see.
we can't move forward with hiring an architectural consultant until we have the full amount.
Okay, and that was being
That was
provided
estimated.
by donations.
Yep, and that was going to be estimated to be around $25,000.
And that was this committee, your committee was going to donate.
By the way, the scope of service document's ready to go. I
The
just
what?
can't,
Yeah.
the scope is ready to
Oh,
go, but I
okay.
can't do it until we have money.
Right, I understand.
The other reason I wanted to come and speak was because I wrote very vigorously on my Substack against the hiring the historical consultant through the town. And now that I've seen what the MassDOT has offered in that meeting, and also what we're trying to negotiate with them, I think it's very important that we do hire a historical consultant for the town. because I think that we're close to getting, again, the maximum that we can hope to extract from MassDOT. If people want to do something else, they can do something else. That's going to be very financially costly to the town. But if we want to extract, if we want to, if you think about, you want to get to the top of the maximization curve in calculus, we should have that historical consultant as soon as possible.
And I don't, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Go right ahead.
I just want to make sure that I understand. I appreciate what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, but I want to, are you speaking on behalf of your group, which was a significant, large group, or is this Christine's? I'm just trying to establish.
Some of the people agree with me and some of them don't. So,
Okay, so you're here speaking, you're
on
part
some
of
of
the
them,
group, but you're.
and so not some of them. And some of the others, they're here and they can speak.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
No,
please.
I'm just wondering if our town committee, and I don't
Our
know,
group, yeah, or task force. our
task force,
bridge
Ed
people.
Mayo, whatever their name is, whatever, suggesting that we hold off on the specifics of these
We don't have to talk about them.
requests until the first set of drawings. Is there a detriment to doing that? I mean, they're just the first set of drawings, right? I mean.
Right, and they are not going to be the last, that's
and
for
they-
sure.
well, exactly,
Yeah.
they're not going to be the last. I mean, I heard that back in the spring,
They were very clear on that.
you know.
So,
So-
Amy, you make a good point about whether Christine is speaking for herself or for the group, because as we've endeavored from the beginning, this is going to be a very public, it is a very public process with lots of engagement. We want to hear from everybody. And where the leader of the Save Our Bridge group reached out and said, I've changed my mind, I wanted to make sure the board was aware of that and the circumstances behind it to the extent it factors into anything we're working on up here.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll certainly happy to hear from anybody from the public who's here to the contrary, because I realize this is last minute. And I'm happy to put it on a future agenda as well.
I think we should, because we did take votes a month or so ago to address this historical consultant. We authorized that for Ms. Hill. We authorized the historical consultant
Yes,
a month ago.
Basically,
If we get
things
the
go
funding.
south, if things go south and they're not headed in the right direction, then you engage the
And-
106 consultant.
And we voted to give the DOT a shot here,
Oh, yeah, you voted to support the
to
project.
keep,
moving
support the
forward.
project.
Yep, that was the key vote, that was the first.
So and we authorized, they asked us for a group of 5 people, I believe, or a group to
A
work with.
smaller
them.
group, and you gave them the
Smaller-
whole group, the
And we
whole
gave
committee.
them the whole
Advisory
Powder
committee.
Point Bridge Advisory Committee,
Yeah,
and they have been meeting with them. There's no glitches,
none that I've heard.
and they had a community forum or a community workshop at the school, correct?
Correct.
And there's another one
They'll
coming
have
up.
another one in 4 weeks.
So I'm just going back to the posting of this is a significant thing, and I understand why you thought it was significant because of what you said. But I don't see a change in circumstances here to suggest that something's gone like sideways that requires this board to deliberate about a new issue. And it sounds like Ed wants some delay too, as the chair of the Powder Point.
With regard to the discussion of the waivers, that is correct.
Okay,
Can I just say on that, I've published them twice.
okay.
Yeah, and the state's seen them, I've sent them to Marco, he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on the board? I'd like to hear from the public, if anybody wants to speak about the group.
Can I just do my public comment?
Uh,
I know I've spoken, but can I just do my public comment? My public comment is I spent a lot of time in the developing world looking at infrastructure projects, and they have to be done very carefully and with attention to the 100-year time frame. You can't make mistakes with them. You shouldn't be experimenting, and you have to go through processes. I'm concerned that people are coming in without an appropriate background and without thinking things through and suggesting projects to the town that are environmentally damaging, jerry-rigged, and kitsch or inauthentic. With the environmentally damaging, I used to work for a coal-fired power plants, defending them in public. I could also make a case that they are not environmentally damaging, but it would not be real. If we don't pay, if we do want a wood bridge, we're going to have to pay for it locally. MassDOT won't pay for a wooden bridge unless it lasts for 100 years. And from the Chatham case, we learned that that requires some sort of preservatives that are like insecticides in the bay, which are a bad idea. The initial plan was to have a federal, everybody was asking about our financial plans. It was to request a federal earmark that bypassed MassDOT. Because they've been so cooperative, that's not possible. They're being reasonable. They've given us so much that we want. If we go and we try to negotiate with our U.S. House representative or our congressional delegation, they're going to laugh at us because MassDOT has given us almost everything we want. So that's out. And so I just don't see any way to finance a bridge, and I don't think that I wrote about it today. I think that the solutions that have been proposed are either experimental and dangerous because we don't want to experiment over the long thing, or they're environmentally damaging. So that's it.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody now or formerly of the Save Our Bridge group that wishes to address the point or the group's position? All right. Ms. Schofield, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm happy to give you the floor.
I'm not an official member of that group, but
Fine.
Okay. That's fine. I just want to make sure everybody's heard.
You'll need
All right.
that.
no, there's people that are going to speak.
Okay. Hey, Zach in the control booth, can we get a
on up.
microphone? Is that possible? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to have a
Can
different
we-
format B now. We're going to have everybody come up into the witness
Yeah, you
stand.
know, it's a select board member for a day.
Yeah,
Thing.
There you go.
that'd be a good recruiting tool.
There you go.
You can introduce yourself for our record.
Good evening. My name is Frank Geisel. I live at 87 Pilgrim Byway. I am an ocean engineer by degree, and I understand the engineering process. I don't claim to be a politician. I may not understand the legal process.
We don't claim to be politicians either, so we're just residents.
We're on the same page.
Hi, Frank.
And I hardly know where to start. With the urgency of making a presentation, which I believe raises allegations which are perhaps personal in nature and maybe not professional in an engineering sense. I don't believe, and I speak professionally, that anyone has suggested experimentation. I'm looking to you. I have not heard a single professional in all of my research that I've done independently for this matter that people have suggested to me, or in any case, well, we might try this and we might try that, and we really don't know. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable from a professional engineering standpoint. No one has made any concrete proposals as to what they're going to do, what materials are going to be used, what design would be used, what are the possibilities of repair, restoration of our historic structure. And I don't believe that the over 6,000 people that we spoke to personally, that we listened to the stories of, would say, we're getting everything we want. These statements are, I'm hesitant to say, inflammatory, because I can't stand up here in front of you and say, that is not everything that we want. As a town, as a region, as a nation, as people who believe in something that we're stewarding, that people in this town and in this region stewarded for over 100 years. There, I will be glad to work with you personally on any of these engineering questions. I've offered this before. I've spoken with Sheila Scarzi about this. This requires significant and deep thought, as well as a commitment from our town, which is difficult to understand and difficult to raise without doing a Facebook poll or some other method of understanding, of gauging what is the, I dare say, the spiritual temperature. What are the vital signs of our town, of this community, and of a structure that is so significant? It hasn't been explained to me what the historical consultant is supposed to do. I've looked at the filings that were done to the Mass Historical Commission, and I have them here. One of the optional identifiers on that filing says structure is significant, historically significant to the area. That's left unchecked. That's unconscionable. How could that be? I don't know. I don't know the role, responsibility, or authority of the Powder Point Bridge Advisory Commission that seemed to be surprised by the delivery of these documents.
Is that a document that was submitted, that's the document that was submitted in order to get the historical classification?
Correct.
And that box wasn't checked?
Was not checked. And there were others that were checked. I have it here. I'm not going to go through it here in front of everybody. Just that alone, for someone on our behalf at the state level to not mark off that it's historically significant to the area, and no one questions it here. Okay, that's experimentation, and a bad one. And I want to remind everybody here about getting everything that we want, right? Because I've heard everybody here say, we want what we have, and we want to preserve. You know, we're standing at a moment in history, as people have decades ago, of saying, yep, I understand it's difficult. We don't have to list all the difficulties. It's difficult. These are hard choices. But we're doing this like people have done this before, and will continue to do, because I don't want it to be on my watch that people will go, well, you know, they had a historic bridge and then they decided, nah, it's too hard. Yeah, it was too difficult. We can't do it. Okay. And we will not have in this town ever again a historic structure like that, ever, for generations to come. We can argue about the environmental impact, but we can't argue about that fact.
Thank you.
And I want to point out one other thing about wooden structures, okay? I know something about naval architecture, and I want to refer you to the USS Constitution, the oldest warship in the Navy's arsenal. She has been replaced and repaired to the 99% level. Every plank, every decking, every spar, every mast, every piece of rigging. And do you know what we still call that boat? We call her the USS Constitution. And people can argue about what has been repaired and replaced on this bridge, and it doesn't look like the previous bridge. It's our bridge. It's the bridge of this town. It's the bridge of this region. It's a bridge. We've talked to people around the country who came here to Duxbury, and every one of their stories, personal stories of that, are incredibly emotionally evocative about this. We owe it to them, we owe it to our children and generations to come to do the right thing, to proceed slowly. I understand there could be consequences to that. Believe me, I understand. That's the engineering process. But we're going to do this together or not at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask the
Yep.
town manager about the filing for the historical designation of the bridge?
Yeah.
Perhaps there was an error in the application. Can we look at that? And, I mean, it's never too late to correct an error. Maybe we could,
We didn't file it.
who did?
I believe the state did.
Oh, the state filed it. Well,
Yeah,
that's a
they-
big error, not to check that it has.
There was no error. The state's the DOT people were here and they explained that whole process. And that the state filed to see if it was historic and the decision had been rendered at
Oh,
the
I
state
thought
and
that-
federal level.
that there was some paperwork that had a checkbox that wasn't checked. Didn't I just hear that?
That would be a question for the state.
All right, we can ask that.
Okay,
can
we
ask that.
should probably
That's
try
a
to
good point.
correct that.
Anybody else on this before I hear? Ms. Babcock, go right ahead. You'll have to join us on the hot
Come
seat,
on
yeah.
up.
And if, we know who you are, but if you can introduce yourself for our record, please.
Alicia Babcock, Ocean Road South. I have quite a bit to say, and I'm going to try to.
This will not be the
So that-
last opportunity.
No, I know, I understand. I just, it might come out a little fragmented because, I wasn't really prepared for this to show up tonight. And I wasn't really prepared for the article, to be honest with you. So I did feel the need to come regardless and sort of clear my name, so to speak, and my intention with this project and bringing forth a person that is an expert in the field. I would like to think by now that this board and the members of this town see that I'm just a dedicated resident. I have no personal agenda. I don't do anything for selfish reasons. I just really love this town and I try to participate. And I feel very strongly about this bridge. I love it. It's the backdrop of the town, and I'm, just like everybody else, I'm emotionally attached to it. And when it's gone forever. And I just can't bear the thought of that happening without giving it like a real shot at saving it. And in order to do that, we need information. So, I am only one person with one vote and one opinion. But ultimately, I think this will come before the town in some capacity with maybe a vote taken, whether it's from the five of you or it includes everyone in the town. But in order to cast an educated vote of such importance, I think we need as much data as possible. And knowledge is power. I think that everybody's heart is in the right place. I really commend Christine for the work she's done. She's done a lot of work. People might not agree with maybe some of the proposals, but that's entirely their prerogative, that group, to do that. But it's also the prerogative of some other people that seem to be aligning with another motivation, which is to save the timber bridge in its entirety. And I guess I'm a little disappointed that that the agenda was rearranged tonight, because I've been really advocating to have the timber expert come and speak. I think that is really important. As I understood it, it was really a very tight agenda with you all only meeting every other week. So I was a little surprised to see that became kind of a priority tonight. And I guess I'm also a little confused at the role that the Save the Bridge is taking. They are not appointed by the town. As far as I know, there is no official capacity to them. And I'm wondering why this would be presented tonight if the information was important, why it would not be presented by the advisory committee. That's why we have them. If this conversation tonight was from the committee, I think it would be received a little differently. And so there's a little disconnect there for me. And so that being said, I do want to make another request that that the town consider allowing Dr. Tingley to come. I am really saddened at the attempt to discredit him. He is 76 years old. He's spent his entire life doing this. It's a passion of his. He is top in his field. He's won all sorts of awards. And as a matter of fact, I wanted to bring you, he just emailed me yesterday, actually, and he's been working on the first of its kind, which is a technical 3-volume guide on timber bridge inspection, maintenance, restoration, and detailing, covering everything you need to know about detailing durable wood bridges, starting with thorough descriptions of wood's unique and often advantageous properties, and concluding with advanced topics that will be of interest to engineers worldwide. And so it's an ebook currently. It costs $300. I would like to make a donation to the town in the sense that I would like to buy this book, and I would like to donate it to the town, to DPW, just as a resource going forward. And I also, I did not purchase the book, so I wasn't able to really give you much, but I was able to, just so that you can see what the table of contents is, so that you can see what is covered in the book. The 3rd volume is not ready for print yet, but I did want you to see, there is one for Rainey too. I did want you to see that it is quite comprehensive.
Suzanne, I usually give one to Suzanne.
Okay. I don't know any other resource that would be able to provide us with such detailed information, and I'm not sure how many of you have had the opportunity to view the webinar, but it's very, very informative. It really hones in on our bridge just based on the engineering report that was sent to him. He has his own way of inspecting. He has very high-tech equipment that's non-invasive that I think would be very useful to us, again, just as data points to, it's almost like going to the doctor and getting a second opinion, right? I mean, I don't think it hurts to have the validity of our inspection checked, or for that matter, have another formal inspection done. But I think that it would be incredibly important as a data point to explore that, because I really would hate to see us get rid of the bridge and then we look back and have regrets. That would be a really tough thing, I think, for all of us. I think that we would all feel horribly guilty about that. My other concern is that the Save the Bridge group seems to be focused on the Mitchell River Bridge now, and the town in the past has been as well. And conceptually, it seems like it checks a lot of boxes. Like we get the best of both worlds and kind of solves all of our problems, but it really, in fact, does not. And I just want to make everyone aware that the Mitchell River Bridge is not doing well. It was built in, they started building it in 2014. It opened in 2016. And then March of 2019, they began 3 years later, they began a two-month closing of the bridge. I have articles from Cape Cod, from different sources citing that the work is expected to last 2 months. They're closing the bridge, rerouting traffic, and, quote, "We've had issues with the Mitchell River Bridge since it was constructed, with getting it up and back down again due to the swelling of the wood." The bridge closed while they basically took the top deck off to do significant work underneath, and they're hoping to address the swelling issues. The $14 million town-owned bridge was constructed in 2016 and has seen the contractor return for repairs multiple times since. It was funded by the DOT through the Federal Accelerated Bridge Program, and it took over 6 years to design and build. Now, that being said, after the presentation that the DOT made, at the end of the presentation, I had asked a few questions regarding the way the bridge is performing. And my questions never really got answered. So I did stay till the very end, and I did speak with the engineers and with the, actually the engineer from DOT and the engineers from HDR. And it turns out that the 4 years in fact, sooner than that, because the bridge was not opening, the whole deck was buckling. They were having significant problems with the edges swelling and the drawbridge not operating. And it's been closed for repair many times. It's costing the town money. It's costing DOT, because they have to try to figure this out, and they keep revisiting this and going back to figure out what's wrong. And so I was obviously very concerned about hearing that, and inquired as to what their plan was for us. They were going back to draw sketches for us to come back in December, and I said, you know, are you giving us the same thing? I mean, it sounds kind of like it was a fail. And Marco had said that they were aware of it, and that they wanted to take a look at maybe combining other materials for us, maybe instead of steel and timber, maybe concrete and timber, which I haven't gone down that road yet in terms of research, but it sounds like it's, if anything's an experiment, it sounds like that is. And
Can I stop you there just for a second? This is all very helpful, and I understand everybody's passionate. The purpose for tonight was really to get to this new information, or what I thought was new information.
Yep.
That I wanted to share with the board and with the community. I believe in as much communication and sunlight as possible, so I wanted to get this out there. I guess it's safe to say at this point there continue to be a variety of opinions
Sure.
on this issue. And I think that's really what the takeaway is on this.
Yep.
I'll let you have maybe a couple more points. We still have a number of things in the agenda that I would like to get to.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're thinking this through, because steel and concrete seem like they are long-term remedies. But if you look at any steel bridge in a saltwater environment, the average lifespan is about 35 years, and that's with ongoing maintenance. We're very concerned about the environment. Maintenance on a steel bridge, obviously, is sandblasting and painting. I don't know how you have any kind of contraption to contain that in the open air without it, going into the bay. And I just think that there are a lot of things to consider. And I think that we are a long ways away from probably having all of the information with both alternatives available. So I want to take this opportunity to once again encourage the town to be open-minded and allow this other inspection to happen. I know that there aren't funds available through town, but I know that there are a lot of people that would be willing to contribute to that cause and to get this information. And then he would be providing us with a very thorough report, and then hopefully he would be able to come before you and the town and do a very thorough presentation of what we have. And at that point, once he's seen it for himself and he's got all the data, then he would be able to come forward with recommendations. Right now, this is all just, conjecture, really. Nobody's made any recommendations on anything. So I just didn't want you to think that that he was making recommendations based on someone else's engineering report, because that is not the case.
Okay, so in order for him to get knowledge from him, or for him to speak about this, he would need to do those tests first?
Yes, well, I mean, it's only fair that if someone's going to put their reputation on the line and make recommendations of this
Understood.
nature,
No, I
that they want to do their own due diligence.
I agree. I just want to find a way to get all the information so everybody can get as much knowledge, like you said, knowledge is
Right.
power.
Right. And, maybe the town doesn't have the appetite for it, and that's to be determined. But I think we owe it to ourselves to get the info.
Can I make a suggestion? It'd be best to bring that to before the advisory committee to see if they agree, and then it would come here for a decision.
Okay, and who's the liaison to the?
Fernando.
Okay.
But she can go right to the meeting.
Let's just make a
with
note
it.
on that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great
Okay.
point.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Alicia. Appreciate it.
Oops, look
Okay.
at that.
All right, I think that covers it for this topic. Thank you all. I think we've heard, we had one person on one side and two on the other, so I think that's sufficient. But I appreciate it, and please continue to be involved. Next is discussion and vote regarding conduit petition request from Eversource, Point Avenue, and Russell Road. This is presented by Rainey Reed, our town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We received a petition from NStar Electric Company, doing business as Eversource Energy, who is the petitioner for the following: Point Avenue and Russell Road, to install a 510-foot plus or minus 2 to 4 inch conduit and 3 new pull boxes by way of an existing pole, 7/18, and plus or minus 55 feet of 1 to 4 inch conduit to a new manhole, 10196/030C, and plus or minus 88 feet of 1 to 4 inch conduit to new new handhole, 10196/050C by way of a new pull box, 01096/040. This construction is necessary to provide underground electrical service. An administrative hearing on this request was held at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, October 28th, in my office, for which notifications were sent to the abutters by certified mail. In addition, legal notice was published in the Duxbury Clipper on October 15th. Please see the attached memo to the Select Board and corresponding documentation. Basically, we had the hearing. A couple people came, and they were all excited and in support of the application, and it's ready to roll.
Questions? Cindy?
Why this neighborhood? Why this street?
They've asked for it. They've requested it. It's going to provide service to one of the houses on the road, and the residents along the road would also like to have the poles buried, or the poles removed and underground
I'm
installed.
sorry, so the residents asked for it? Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? And,
Right? Have I got that right, Bo?
Just
double checking
I
with
think
Bo,
we'd
'cause-
all like it, is what
I
I'm saying.
think we would.
This is why I'm
Well,
saying.
we knew you
Why don't
might
you come on up,
say
Bo,
that.
and just introduce yourself for
Yeah,
our
I mean, I
record?
have it in my little cul-de-sac,
Yes.
but it doesn't, if it, something happens out on the main street, doesn't do me any good. Hi, Bo.
Hi, Bo Boynton, Duxbury Construction. My client is also here. Rainey, you did a fantastic job explaining the project.
you.
This is an existing power infrastructure. It exists overhead today. It's going to be an equivalent system, but underground. This is a coastal neighborhood. We've been subject to a lot of storm damage. There's been lots of fires on these overhead poles. And and we feel that this new infrastructure will be much safer and reliable for the neighborhood. This isn't for one particular individual. This is for the entire road. Everyone will be very welcome to tie into it. The cost of this project is being picked up by an individual.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have Julie Longa from Eversource here.
Yep. She's here for any questions you may have.
You have a question, Mike?
I don't know if it's appropriate because it's not about this, well, I'll just ask this generally then. Ms. Longa, you still here with us?
Yes, I am.
I'm just curious how the town or individuals can request that the conduit can be underneath the ground.
Well, as Bo spoke, his came from a personal, or a request from a customer.
Okay.
So we're petitioning on behalf of Eversource, but, you know, the customer is picking up the tab for this.
Okay. It just seems like it would make sense where we're a coastal community, we're subject to, I mean, like, just like King Caesar is, some high winds and storms, why Eversource wouldn't want to just do this more often with a lot of their projects so they don't have to keep repairing it.
Good question.
You know, I think going forward, that's something that we always look at, any new building and things like that. But unfortunately, the existing structure, to take that on and have us go underground for everything is just not feasible.
Yeah. I mean, we signed off on something for Railroad Ave, and it was us several times, why that wasn't going underground while the road was being dug up there. I don't know if you're familiar with that and why that wasn't considered.
Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that job.
Okay. All right.
How much of Powder Point Ave is being involved?
Powder Point Avenue is being crossed perpendicularly, and that is the only disturbance to Powder Point Ave.
So it's really just Russell Road, because somebody on Russell Road wants, and is it going to really make a difference to the?
I feel a difference in terms of
Power, you know, loss of power, no loss of power.
I don't know if there's bad luck in the neighborhood, but just about every pole in the neighborhood has been a cause of fire, and the transformers have blown up and kind of burnt the poles. These poles actually, you know, if you want to visit, they're actually still standing today, half burnt with a new pole next to them. But I don't know if it's the prevailing wind or what is causing these poles, but
That's not unique. I live in, you know, right outside of Tinkertown, the Island Creek area, and we have the same problem. The transformer goes in certain particular poles, the pole catches fire, the branches around it. It seems like, you know, to Mike's point, this is an ongoing issue. We ask these questions. Eversource always says, you know, now we're just going to keep, it's the definition of insanity. They keep coming out and putting up the same thing over and over and over again.
I will admit that Russell Road is very simple. It's a dead-end run. It's a straight leg. There's a limited number of homes that it services. I hope that this could serve as a model for undergrounding neighborhoods, and we look forward to getting it done.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking railroad. I mean, we approve poles when they're actually digging up the sidewalk there, and they could put the wire underground while they're doing that. I don't understand it.
I feel in the case of railroad, that's somewhat of a pass-through transmission. So you're probably feeding schools beyond, and you're feeding, that it's very large voltages that they're dealing with. We're dealing with just like a, 14,000 volt single line that is only feeding a limited number of homes. So,
plus, I think it's pretty easy to understand. They've got a citizen who's paying for it. Eversource isn't paying for it.
I just don't know why Eversource didn't take advantage at the moment. They have
because then they'd have to pay for it. I mean,
they're paying for to go up on the
They have to pay for it at some point.
Yeah,
They should
paying
have
for
a
it up on a
plan
thing,
to
and then it's gonna get blown.
transition all of us, but they don't.
Okay.
Well, I think you trade, in fairness to Eversource, I think it's a trade-off, like anything else. You put them underground and you have a problem, now you have to dig the whole thing up as opposed to just replacing a line. there's pros and cons to doing it either way. So, but I understand there's policy decisions that we make on a case-by-case basis. But, yeah, all right, well, we'll leave it
All
at
right.
that. Is there
Thanks, Bo.
anything further, any questions
Bo.
on this? If none, why don't we have a motion?
I move that the Select Board authorize the order to install 510 feet, plus or minus, of 2 to 4 inch conduit and 3 new pole boxes via existing poles 7/18 and 55 feet of 1 to 4 inch conduit to new handhole 10196/030C and 88 feet plus or minus of 1 to 4 inch conduit to new handhold 10196/050C via new pole box 10196/040 on Powder Point Ave and Russell Road as presented, along with the conditions presented by Sheila Scarzi, Director of Public Works, and that N-Star Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, contact the Duxbury Department of Public Works at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the project.
Second.
Well done. Thank you, Amy. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you,
you
Julie.
all.
Thanks, Bo. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Julie.
Next, we have a discussion
welcome.
regarding Livable Duxbury, accomplishments and presentation of Phase 2 report, logo and care solace. This is going to be presented by Kevin Mullins and our Council on Aging Director, Joanne Moore. Mr. Mullins. Joanne, come on up. We'll keep you nearby, okay.
Joanne.
All right.
Joanne, come on over here and you can have this.
Good evening, everybody. I'm joined with two superstars from our team, Frank Holden and Joanne Moore. So we sent you 2 documents. One was a very detailed 32-page of the action plans for this year, and it had an executive summary in that. So consider tonight to be the executive summary of the executive summary. We know you get a lot to read, so I'm just going to highlight what's happened in the last year and what things we're going to do for the new year. And I think the most important thing I'm going to talk about is some of the learnings and some of the things we've come across. So just give you a quick background on the project. As background, we separated into 2 phases, and each phase had 4 domains. First year we did 4. Action plans came out. They worked for a year, and that's what we'll talk about, those highlights. I'll pick out 2 of the highlights. A bunch of the other highlights are in your results are in your appendix. Then in year 2, we worked on the second 4 domains, developed action plans. We did it without any consultants or anybody helping us. We just kind of did it ourselves. And then our second 4 domains will work on those this year. So it's about a 4-year project in total. And then the other part we'll talk about are other efforts in learning. Thanks for going to the timeline, Nancy, way ahead of me. Okay, so first 4 domains, year 1 results. I picked the top 2 highlights from each of the 4 domains, and the appendix has the summary of the others. First domain, communications. Sue Hoover is the team leader on that. Communications really is the umbrella to everything we do. It's complex. There's a bunch of things that are going to come out from this. They did some major things, though, is they completed a town-wide employee dementia training. They created a community information sheets about what's going on in the town and other things that are available. And they also made the town website more accessible through Audio Eye and installed that, and Council on Aging and the Friends paid for all of that. I think you'll see in a number of things we talked about. And this year, we got either private donations or Friends donated up to $100,000 worth of real value.
And when you say friends, you mean friends of?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's good. The Friends of Council on Aging.
Okay, thank you.
And what's Audio Eye?
Yeah, it's
So,
a.
do you want me to give
Yeah,
it? So
go ahead, sure.
AudioEye is a software package that is on the town website that enables people with disabilities to change the font, the color of font, so they're able to use the website more efficiently. And that really came out of the IT department, and Lori White, she's a member of this committee, and she found it at a conference and brought it to the communications group, and the Disability Commission funded that piece of it, and now it's on the town website.
Cool.
Is there any ongoing cost to it?
Yep.
Some snippets of communications take longer than a year to work on are obviously the websites, internet, a number of things of how do we tie them in, what do we do, should we do things separately, tie them into the town. And also to do things like, some other independent articles of like the Nantucket Current is doing things about towns that are mostly online and things that we want to work on. So they're working on those things for the future. Second domain is mental health. Peter Holden was the team leader, is the team leader on that. And really probably the single most impactful thing that happened all year was the signing of Care Solace, which is a mental health coordinator provider. The schools have been using that for the last 2 to 3 years. Got the lead from them. Peter contacted them. We've got backing from the Friends of Council on Aging to pay for it. We're in the middle of rolling it out now. I think in the first week we had over a dozen or a couple of dozen people have already signed up through Care Solace. But basically, anyone in the town of Duxbury can sign up and get mental health and other direction support from Care Solace.
Cindy?
Yeah, this came up recently when we were talking about our budget, ongoing budget for the next year. And that there's a cost that's going to be associated with this for the town. And I'm just wondering,
Sure, do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've included that in my budget for 2027, and the cost is $10,000. In the meantime, behind the scenes, we're working on local foundation grants to see if we can cover that. It is in my budget, and if for some reason we are awarded these grants, then we'll take it out. But right now, we believe it's an important tool for community members, and we want to leave it in the budget until such time we could find other funding.
Okay, so you've already seen a benefit. People have already.
Well, it was interesting, I think at the meeting last week, you asked how many people had used it, and we were about a week in, so I talked to Ann Ridgway, who was our consultant through Care Solace, and she said, 15 people have already called, and that was on day 7. I thought maybe she'd say 1, but we haven't even done any marketing on it, really. So to think that the community is hearing about it, we've had these little business cards made, and we've shared some information with fire and police. We went to the Interfaith Council on Saturday. Peter Holden went to Duxbury Facts last Monday. Our goal is to hit like all the community groups, because the way it's going to be successful is if everyone knows about it. So that's our goal really as mental health this next year, is to make sure every resident knows that they're able to use this service for support.
Great, thanks.
And this service it connects you with a provider.
Yes.
So it's kind of a middleman. And the school's using it already. Is there any ability to kind of piggyback with them and get additional, discounts, or, if
So
the school's
when
using
we
it?
actually asked that when we talked to Care Solace, so I guess the students, serving students is a different ball of wax than serving the rest of the community. That's why we went with 2 different contracts. But with the 2 contracts together, every resident in the whole town, plus town employees, residents, families are supported by this service. So it really is all encompassing to provide that mental health. If you have substance abuse challenges, also it provides additional resources for housing, social services, and food. So, with SNAP benefits, it could provide additional information, as well as information someone could call us at the senior center for as well.
The amount we're contracted with is almost too good to be true. It's $10,000 for all of those services. We'll see whether they work. Our contract is a year, and see whether that makes sense.
Yeah, and other places around the Commonwealth have used it and have been really pleased, and it really has become part of the budget because it's important to the residents. So we're hoping the same happens here.
Second big part is the social day program. It's one of the most successful things in the senior center. And as we went through our focus groups and everything, when it was amazing that the social day program is for people to have a support and have another time to do work at the senior center. But the caregivers are the ones that are the real beneficiaries of all this too. We currently service about 25 people with about 15 people on a waiting list at any given time. If you do the math from the Alzheimer's Association, in Duxbury we have about 300 people in Duxbury that have dementia or some form of dementia. The needs are there. We've got 3 to 5 year plans to go from 25 to 50 to 100. But in the interim, Peter and his team got support from the Cape Cod Alzheimer's Association, and they're helping us supplement some of so we were able to increase from 25 to 35 to 40 people. So without really having any extra space or any other investment. So it worked out great.
And I'd just add that there is no cost to the town for this service. We give them space on Friday, and they bring in all their staff, all their volunteers, all the programming, and it's just another resource for older adults living in town.
A couple of the major things are going on for Peter and his group are going on for grants for mental health navigators. They've identified those. We don't know whether we're going to get them or not, but we think we have a good shot. So that's it for mental health. Housing, a huge domain, a complex domain, hard to get things done. And Kathy Dowling is our team leader there. Definitely this team has had the most meetings, the most discussions, the most communication with outside groups, and they've done a great job of putting kind of the different pieces together and different foundations for the future. They really led us into the creation of what you'll hear about a little bit more later of this Livable Duxbury University, which is an education for the community, a few things a month. We've already had 2 events on ADUs, for the community that they've put on. And so Kathy and team have really made efforts to get the Affordable Housing Trust people together, the Housing Authority people together, and others to get things done. Next is transportation. Penny Hurley, he's the team leader there. So I didn't know a lot about GATRA until I heard more about this. But there are 30 towns in GATRA, and I think Penny is probably like the number 2 or 3 town in getting support from the GATRA. She did it the old-fashioned way. She and Joanne went and met with them. So from that meeting, we were assigned 3 new buses. We got a couple of more bus routes. They are in the process of putting together support transportation. We have good transportation services from Plymouth up to Hanover and Norwell for the healthcare places, but we do not have good services for Weymouth and Boston. GATRA has agreed to put together a Marshfield, Kingston, Duxbury transportation service, and they're working on that and putting in plans. I think their strike kind of delayed it for a little bit, but we'll have that next. The other thing that they're working hard on is improved handicap accessibility at various sites. We have one implemented at Shipyard, and amazing work, with 4 or 5 town departments to get that done. We got all done in kind, all donated, and by the time Penny's done and team are done within the next 6 months, they'll have like $25,000 to $30,000 worth of improvements done to various sites at the landings in town and also at the beach for accessibility.
And it's so heartwarming to see a lot of people are at the picnic tables. Penny had said she was there the other day, and someone came out in their wheelchair and was able to enjoy the beautiful vista and have a little lunch. So that's exactly what we hope for, so we're thrilled to see it happening.
Right. I think it's important to recognize that while these initiatives sound straightforward in theory anyway, making them happen is a lot of work. And the bench at Shipyard is, I think, a microcosm of all the efforts that are necessary, all the moving parts, both from your group, from the private sector who donated time and materials and funds and labor, and the town as well. DPW has been terrific. Just a lot of things need to come together, and I think that's just an example of why it's so important, the work that you and your colleagues on the team are doing, is not only identifying the needs, but actually pushing to make these things happen.
They have a good appreciation for how hard it is to get things done. I mean, it's complex. We know, we appreciate what you have to go through a lot of the time. Okay, how about phase 2, next 4 domain teams? So year 1, we have the second group of phases. First, Frank Holden is here, and he's the work and civic engagement team leader. It's a great domain. Work means part-time, full-time, one-time, and maybe seasonal employment for seniors and others trying to work the needs, match it with the opportunities, and match it with employment opportunities from the employers. So we'll work on that. Second part of that domain is volunteer, and the third part is civic engagement. It's what we're doing here. It's people working in community, and civic groups. So Frank and his team have developed a pretty extensive action plan. That's what's in your, your other readings of things to work on for next year.
Kevin, will that, just interrupt for a second,
Yeah.
with the volunteers, will that also include maybe feeders into municipal boards and committees? We're always looking for talent
Absolutely.
on our boards and committees.
Digitize the talent form, publish it in terms of the vacancies.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later, but is that we really had an outage in the communication with the 40 and 50-year-olds group, and I think that's a group that we want to target with committee work and other things in town. So we know we need to reach out more there. We need to do more there, and I think they're a key group to get to fill that part of it. Outdoor spaces and buildings, Kathy Cross is our team leader for that, and she's actually the chair of the Open Space and Recreation. And lots of great things to happen there with trails, with parking, with accessibility that they're going to work on the next year. We actually combined two of the domains into one because we thought they really overlap. So respect and social inclusion were one, and social participation was the other. We actually went outside the task force, and one of the other senior center employees, Reagan Rodriguez, who's a program manager, volunteered to be team leader in those. So really some neat things to go on there about how do we have work with a bunch of other community groups to have more social participation, to how do we incorporate people that maybe not recognized, not respected as much, and how do we improve there? So that'll really help. Next is health and community services. So it's everything in health and community services except mental health. The first year we worked on mental health. Second year we'll work on other health and community services. And basically what that is doing better on outreach. It's doing better on how do we be better in wellness and fitness, in food insecurity, and those areas. We have a really dynamic team. There's a lot of human service people talent in the community, and we had like 20 of them in our focus groups, and I think 12 of them are going to be on the team. So it's really good to have that. So, on every one of those 4 teams will have about 8 to 12 members. So call it by January 1st, we'll have over 100 volunteers working on the 8 domains, and getting things done and working hard for next year. So, so just to the next slide is just some general things, observations that we came up with and benefits we think we can deliver to the town other than the formal teams is, number one, general education. There's definitely a need, and Kathy Dowling, we created this Livable Duxbury University. We're going to start out as at least 1 or 2 events a month of open to the community on very specific topics. And they'll be driven by the 8 domains and maybe by other things that come up. So, but it's a formal program. We're going to do it, and maybe we'll get to 3 or 4 items a month. So, improvement in communication. One of the great groups in town is the Duxbury Community Collaborative. They've really struggled with getting a town-wide calendar. It sounds right, sounds easy, sounds like everybody wants to do it. It's hard to execute. Frank Holden has chartered a team. And Donna Wood is part of it, and she's heading up the Duxbury Community Collaborative, but they're developing a AI-generated how to do this, how to get the processes right, and how to work on that. And knowing Frank, it'll get done in the next 3 to 6 months or so.
All right, thank you, Frank.
So another
3 to 6 weeks.
big piece I think we learned is how do we, we have, let's say we have 100 volunteers, we got 4,000 seniors. We've got these great existing Duxbury organizations. How can we both do better at helping each other? And I highlighted, we've started to do that, but I've highlighted a few of the ones that I think we can kind of like turbocharge both sides. So Duxbury Affordable Housing Trust, the Interfaith Community, the Duxbury Community Collaborative, and the Duxbury Chamber of Commerce. We are working hard to both sides to help, what can we complement, not duplicate? What can we fill in the gaps for, and how do we work with each other better? And I think that'll help both. And this is a personal one that I've been after, and good old Lynn Devnew stood up and said, I will do this for a year. She is going to lead in doing everything grants. She's put together a team of 4 people, some experienced with grants, some not, and then some other consultants on the outside in grants, and they're going to go out and find the world is their oyster in grants. They're going to look at grants for anything, 8 domains and other stuff. So we'll come back to you. So
Can you extend that indenture to 2 years?
you may.
Just keep it going?
Because they work for us as well.
Yeah, that's,
Well, to be honest, I think many of these things that, I shouldn't say that, I don't want to overpromise yet. But it is to find those type of things out. One of the key mentors that we have is a person at Old Colony Planning Council who was hired specifically to assist towns in grants and get them to help with leads and things. And so we just didn't have anybody calling on them and asking them to help us, So it's kind of like the GATRA thing. Of the 30 towns, if you don't ask for stuff, you don't
Right.
get it. We're going to go out and ask for stuff.
oh, that's terrific.
And I think the other thing that's important to say, every one of our action plans is in line with the master plan. So our job is to support what's already been created and help move that agenda forward.
Yeah,
There's several of us up here who are invested in that, for sure. Well, we all are now, but in terms of putting it together back in 17 and before.
Frank
great
did
to
a
see- great to see
database
it.
analysis.
Yeah.
I think it was 82% of our action plans were tied into the Envision Duxbury 2019. So
Excellent,
It was
excellent.
amazing. So, okay, we wanted to do a pretty good deep dive introspective look of what are we doing and what can we do better. And I guess we gave us a little bit grade inflation. We gave us a B+ for the year. We're proud of what we accomplished, but some things took longer than we expected. And like I said before, getting things done is harder and more complex. And one of the big things, we went to the community in September and had 2 open forums. And one of the big things they really said we could improve on was our communication. And there's some specifics that they brought up, and I'll highlight some of those there. We need to do a better job and get our message out. I don't mean to say this way, but I had a friend that came up to me, a really good friend, a couple of months ago and said, hey, you still doing that dementia thing? And I just said, oh my God, I can't believe it. So we are going to have I've already scheduled more than a dozen meetings with Duxbury organizations to do kind of like we're doing here, but to meet with the people in the organizations. We're going to get those done in the next 90 days and to get out to them and hopefully spread the wings out to that. Some people say we need to develop a better concise results format and a dollars saved scoreboard, and we're going to get that done. And we'll have that, to you for our next mid-year update. And we think we need to do a better job in informing, motivating, and educating our primary constituency, the seniors. A lot of them still don't know that we're doing this work, and we've got to do better. We already talked this one a little bit. Improve communication with 40 and 50-year-olds. We're going to start that. We're going to the Newcomers Club. We're going to a few other things to do. And I put this, we need to improve communication and time with our select board liaisons. So
I'm glad you put that down there. I just emailed you the other day, a week or so ago, and saying,
where are you? Exactly. So that's that part. So finally, what do we need from you, select board and the town manager? We just need your feedback. When you look at the details, what are your priorities? What can we work on? We're going to move ahead, but if there are things you're saying, hey, that's a sweet spot, you guys better spend some more time on that. We'd like you to let us know. And then the other thing that, in our informal discussions and in the groups, there's a lot of really high-powered and really smart people, and we just think we can add a valuable strategic planning resource for you. I think we had reached out, and Fernando had kind of talked to us before the last town meeting, and in 30 days, this team of 5 had developed a word track to use, and in 30 days, there's no way you can do long-range planning, but it was a pretty good thing for 30 days. But we think there needs to be a 3 to 5 year strategic long-range plan to help you all manage stuff.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
On the 17th of November.
Oh, you might need a mic.
May I? Yeah, sure. On the 17th of November, the board's going to be meeting with Matt Hines and our planning director and the planning board to go over the comprehensive plan and the Envision Duxbury document. Might be worth tuning into. You don't necessarily have to attend, but you'll actually get, I think, coming from that meeting, you will get a little more sense of the strategic planning aspect. Once we-
Now, our housing people should definitely go. Right.
They might find it of interest.
I bet you Kathy knows about it already, and so that's great. Thank you. Okay, that's it. I think I'll switch it over to Joanne.
Oh,
or
yeah.
any
Yeah,
comments?
so I just wanted to share some information. I think it was in the packet about some rebranding we're doing. So just thank you for having me here tonight, so I'll pass this out.
For being here.
So part of our long-range plan, our 5-year plan, was to do a logo update and a rebranding. So we've been in operations for over 40 years. Our logo was done 25 years ago, and so we wanted to see what we could do to freshen it up. So we got a grant from MCOA, which is our state association. Two more, sorry.
I think it's beautiful.
And for $10,000 to start the refresh. So over the last 5 months, we've worked closely with a local designer, Allison Farquharson, to create a new, fresh, modern look. So we've held focus groups with residents, with our board, with our friends, with our staffs, and our participants. And their input has been valuable. They haven't always liked what we've done, and we keep going back and tweaking it. So hopefully you'll be pleased where we are right now. So we're really excited to unveil our new logo and tell you a little bit about how we got there. First, if you look at our logo, we said the center. Really, we're kind of the hub in the center of town. There's a lot of action and vitality there, but there's also historic relevance. So right in front of our building is where all the cart paths in towns crossed. And it was called 40 Corners. And the reason why it started there and people met there is that's where you'd catch up with your neighbors in olden days. So we said that was really the center, the hub. How can we include this in our name? Hence the center. But then when we showed the logo initially, the board said, we don't want to lose that this is for older adults. So we wanted to make sure that it matched what our mission was. And really our mission is to help older adults age well in the community, enrich their lives, and enrich the lives of the community as a whole. Hence, we added the tagline, live well and age strong. Age Strong also is the name of the commission in Boston. They changed their name from Elder Services because really our goal is for older adults to age well in our community. And one thing that has been a challenge, I would say, since I've been here in the last 25 years, people know us as the Senior Center. When someone says the Council on Aging, everyone says, what is that? Well, that's the official name of our department, so we didn't want to lose that in our title either. So we're really excited about where we're going. This is just the beginning. We will be working with Allison on redoing our newsletter, our business cards, our sign outside, and our website. So we're marrying this money to get that done, and we're really thankful for our state association for this grant. So just wanted to share that with you, where we are. And so, yeah, on this gives a little bit of background about the logo, how we got there. If anyone wants to see some of the other crazy names we came up along the way or logos, happy to share those as well. But this is where we are, and we're really thrilled. Looks great in color. We love the wave. We feel like that brings movement and vitality, but also represents the colors that we currently use, and we wanted to keep with those moving forward.
All right, any questions for Kevin or Joanne?
No, how did that Halloween movie marathon go on Friday?
Oh, it went well. A little scary.
I was thinking I was going to get a bag of popcorn and come on down and
I'm
look
sure
great.
there'll be
I always
something
watch
else.
I love that side.
Yeah.
Because your point about the hub here and the center, it's so nice to, I'm always going by there to go to the transfer station or wherever. It's so nice to see what's going on. And there's some really amazing programs.
Yeah.
That was fun, but it's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a great one.
Right.
I think it's.
Well, and it's great to bring the community in the building, and it's wonderful that our building is used as an annex for town hall. And so not only during the day is it busy, it's busy in the evening as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a couple of comments. I'll start with Kevin. Kevin, thank you and the team, well, and Joanne as well, for all of this. But for myself, in terms of feedback, I think you're dead on what we're looking for as a board. The community spoke in 2019. It sounds like a long time ago. I guess it kind of is. But with the comprehensive plan, that took a lot of involvement, there was a lot of involvement by the community, and a great deal of evaluating what our values are and what our priorities are. I would never second guess any of that. As far as I'm concerned, the town has spoken. The Envision Duxbury report has been out there. The goals that are set forth in that document align, what did you say, 89% to what your group is pursuing. So I wouldn't want to improve on near perfection here. So I would say keep on doing what you're doing in terms of priorities. I think your instincts have carried you well so far, and I rely upon your good judgment. So keep on trucking is my opinion, unless anybody has a differing opinion or other thoughts on that.
No, I would second that.
And thank you for the work that you and the team have put into this. We're very unique and very fortunate in Duxbury. Not only do we have terrific volunteers on our boards and committees, but we have a group that's stepped forward to tackle a lot of the action items that we need done. And so I can't thank you enough. And I would like to know, I guess, not to get too far ahead of my skis or over my skis. There's a lot of activity going on now, but there's a lot that needs to continue for continuity and for longevity of the processes and keeping people informed and engaged. Have you given much thought? I know it's still a relatively new group, of how you continue the involvement of moving these things forward beyond. I love everything you're doing, but I don't want everybody to feel that it's put upon for eternity, that they all need to take on these responsibilities. Is there thoughts on how you pass these along to other volunteers? Or
Sure. So each committee, Kevin reached out to say, your year is up. Would you like to continue? Each of the team leaders said, yep, I'm in for another year. Some committee members have left, and those who have left, we've replaced with new people who are interested. I'm sure at some point we may get more formal and have terms, but people are willing to step up and help, which has been really great. And we've learned so much about what people are interested in, and we kind of guide them to the domain that really meets their interest in helping in the town.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll answer. We don't know. We don't know. Like, I didn't know whether we'd be there a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever. And I think we're kind of asking people to stay if they want to stay, and not if they don't. And I think for me, the energizing thing in this is the depth of people that want to work hard and are really good is unbelievable.
Sure.
And that's what motivates you to come and do these things. And so I think it's a balance of experience, and there's also a balance of you need new blood, and so we'll see what happens after this. I think what we've asked for people is at least stay on your domain teams for 2 years. Every now and then I sneak in, you may have to stay a third year, and stuff, but we'll see. But I think it's a great question, but we've kind of said, hey, this is a 4-year project, and I think that's partly a good thing to do, because we got to get stuff done now. I know it's hard, and I know it's complex and stuff, but we don't want to be 5-10 years down the road. So I don't know.
Sure.
I think we should have a continuation plan, but that should come at another time.
Okay, no, fair enough.
The great news
Yeah.
is that we have no shortage of people that are willing to go on the domain teams.
Excellent.
And it's great, and it's amazing.
And they're so smart. Everyone is just a
Very
A+
fortunate.
brainiac.
Well, thank you for that, Kevin. And Joanne, I just want to compliment you and the team on the rebranding. That's something that you and I discussed not so long ago, but just to appreciate that senior center has maybe some connotations that aren't maybe as inclusive, or folks don't feel that, if I'm not technically a senior, that the programs aren't for me, or that sort of thing. I think this is terrific.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting, like the word you use for senior now is older adult. But the Duxbury Older Adult Center is kind of a mouthful, so we...
Yeah, it is.
Great.
And not to keep going too much, but you know, Joanne represents, like, we have 7 or 8 town employees. Nancy's on one of the domain teams. You know, we have a number of other people on domain teams. They're doing all this stuff in addition to their normal jobs. Frank Holden is doing like 5 different jobs for us. I mean, and plus he's the data guy for every job. You know, so it's like, they're just tremendous people, and and Lynn Devnew, I mean, every time she just raises her hand and says, okay, I'll do that. You know, so it's awesome. It's just it's a really motivating, impressive group that new people are coming out of the woodwork all the time. So it's really good.
Well, it's great to hear, and we want to continue to support that. So I appreciate your regular updates to us, and we are here ready to support whenever necessary. So thank you again. And thank you, Joanne, for all the terrific work you do.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else on the board on this? All right. Great. Let's move on next to discussion and vote pertaining to Parkside Development Regulatory Agreement. This will be presented by Heidi Carrera from Delphic Associates.
You might have Paul
Or Paul Cusson. All right, Paul, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Heidi Correa with Delphic Associates.
Oh, okay.
Representing Parkside Development this evening in regards to the regulatory agreement. We've asked the town to sign the regulatory agreement so we can move forward with the development and the approvals that are needed to get the project completed.
Well, the project can be completed. It's in order to get the 2 affordable units added to the SHI, which is the subsidized housing inventory. Isn't that correct?
Correct. It also, yes. The regulatory agreement will also include a deed rider for the affordable units to be held in perpetuity for 99 years.
2 affordable units, right?
Yes.
It's 2 out of 12, yeah.
I thought I heard
Yes.
say 4, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I do have questions. I'm just looking for the right page on the agreement. So I
Okay.
invite other questions or
I
comments in the meantime. And it goes to the issue of how we keep these on the SHI.
Once the regulatory agreement is signed and EOHLC makes the approval, there's a form that EOHLC has for the town to submit the affordable units so that they can be added to the SHI. Once they're added to the SHI, they will stay in your inventory.
Okay, I found what I was looking for. This is on page, looks like page 4 of the agreement itself. It's section 3.
Do you have another copy of this?
Well, it's subpart D at the very top of the page on page 4. I won't read it in detail because it's sort of lengthy, but it goes into the condition, or states the conditions upon which each low and moderate income unit will remain SHI eligible. And there's 3 things that have to be in force. One is that this agreement, the thing we're talking about tonight, the regulatory agreement, remains in force. Second is each unit needs to comply with the regulations and guidelines as may be amended from time to time. And the third part is in 3 parts, has to do with the deed rider. So setting aside the deed rider for a second, because I know council has already looked at this, can you share with me how either these regulations that we're talking about now or the guidelines could be amended from time to time that may jeopardize us counting these 2 units under SHI?
I believe there would be, once you apply and have been approved for the SHI, it will not get removed. The monitoring, so to speak, the guy is all monitored by EOHLC. So they technically would be the monitoring agent for the affordable units in this case. If they made guideline changes, we would be notified. Most of the time, any guideline changes are administrative and not constructive. So there may not be any issue with the property, even if they make changes.
Okay.
Again, once it's set up as inventory, it stays as inventory.
All right, and that's what I want to bank on, because the.
No,
the-
it does,
Yeah,
it does.
that's critical.
It can't come off. I mean, maybe if it, God forbid, should burn down or be destroyed in some way, you'd have to take it off temporarily.
Yeah.
But, unforeseeing, God's wrath, I think you'd be good. Once you're approved, you're on.
No, I got it. I just want to make sure, because in Duxbury, we need to, I think, do a better job of counting our SHI units and making sure they stay on. And this is an opportunity for us to do that, albeit only 2 units, but I want to make sure this is as airtight as possible. And again, I understand council has already looked at it, but it was just unclear to me, because the devil lives in the details, how the guidelines could be changed such that we lose 2 units under this regulatory agreement.
Are we not able to make an amendment? In other words, strike that? Because I don't disagree that that could be problematic and leave a door open that we think and we're being told is closed. Did town council say that we could make any changes to this? I think I was told we could.
I didn't raise
could
anything with
ask.
council directly.
I don't remember asking that question. I didn't think we could.
I don't
I
think we.
I don't believe that, I don't believe changes are made, any changes are allowed for the deed rider. There are amendments that can be made to the regulatory agreement in the future if you need to, if something changes. But again, in any case, once you're approved for the SHI, you will stay on that SHI. They can't take you off just because they feel like taking you off today.
Okay. And
As
I
far
think-
as I understand,
Yeah.
once it's been counted, it carries for the perpetuity of the unit. So a home, in this case, single-family home.
Okay.
So
Did you review
I hopefully that takes away some of
Skimmed
your
it.
worry.
Oh, look at that. I didn't look at it.
Now, let's see, I also wanted to look at the, I wanted to just point out for the board, and of course, now I'm not finding the sheet that has the plan with the unit designations on it.
Oh, would be page 19. It's not labeled, but it's right after the last regulatory
That was
agreement
one that
page.
oh, wait a minute, I think that might be it. It was like Lot M, oh, yeah. So
Yes.
it was lot, so the 2 units we're talking about, Keene Street has one of them, it's labeled A on the plan, but it's Lot M. And
A
the
is
other
for
one-
affordable.
Yeah, and, okay, all right, and the other one was 12 Red Hawk Lane.
Correct.
And I just wanted to point that out to the board, because, of course, one of the things that are in the 40B regulation, or the affordable housing regulations, but also of great importance to us, is that the affordable units not be any less advantageous than the market rate units. They need to be equally interspersed and all that, and that's done in this case. And it's the same number of bedrooms, same square footage. I think if you drive by, I don't know that you'd be able to tell what the affordable units are versus the market rate units. So that's consistent with the values in our town. I didn't have any other questions. Mike?
This came up with another project, the monitoring agent. Who's going to be, who would be the monitoring agent, and who will be funding that monitoring agent?
It's a LIP, so the monitoring agent would be EOHLC.
It is not.
It's a LIP, LAU.
It is not an LIP. This was not a local initiative project. The reason that these
Yes, sir.
2 affordable units are before us is because the subdivision triggered the inclusionary housing bylaw, which mandates that the developer either build 2 units of affordable housing or give money in lieu. So this was not a local initiative project.
It is
So-
LIP, LAU. It is considered, even though it's an inclusionary zoning, it is still overlooked by the LIP program.
So I guess my question is this. is the expectation that our Duxbury Affordable Housing Trust will have to pick up the tab for a monitoring
No.
agent down the road?
I do not believe so.
So you don't know, or?
Nancy's
I don't
saying
believe
no.
I don't believe the town pays. This,
Affordable Housing Trust does send out a monitoring letter every year. We have one property, I think it's on Franklin Street, to confirm that the resident still lives there. And that gets copied to the OHLC.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to be fair, the one that was over on Franklin Street, forgot the name of it, the one that the Dacey Project did. They paid the Affordable Housing Trust for future costs associated with the monitoring agent to make sure that there is no issues with resale of the property. And I'm just wondering if that was contemplated as part of this agreement.
it might have depended on what his permit called for. Some permits will designate how they want the affordables to be either paid or distributed or money donated to a fund to keep the affordables active in town.
So do we know if that has occurred? Because that's a valid question, who's going to pay for the
We
monitoring of
negotiated
these?
that.
The last thing you want is for it to fall between the cracks and not get either counted on the inventory or to, get resold as not an affordable.
Well, EOHLC is going to be the governing body for this. So they usually do their own monitoring. They don't hire out a monitoring agency as other developers are required to do, maybe under 40B, maybe under a different program, not a LIPLAU. They might be under a mass housing program that has a little bit of different regulations, basically the same, but some things vary. But in this particular case, I don't believe that the town will be charged. I can clarify that if you'd like. I can contact the OHLC in the morning, and I can have an answer to you hopefully by the end of the day, if that makes you more comfortable.
Yeah, I may be wrong, I may be totally off base on this because there were certain distinctive differences between this project and the other project. We had moderate housing in that one, and I know that was a concern about that. It wasn't covered under EOHLC, it was something we did.
Correct.
So
We actually
I don't know.
represent.
I don't know, it
Maybe
seems
I'm
like
wrong,
it's
but I
in-
think it's a good question to answer, because I certainly don't want to be stuck as a community monitoring, the costs of monitoring resales of affordable units.
Agreed.
there are resale restrictions in
There are,
Yeah,
yes.
And I see that, it's as good as the words, if someone goes out and resells it at,
They cannot.
They cannot.
right?
Well, in order to move this forward, I see
Yeah.
there's some questions. Let me ask this, Mike. Would it be adequate to have the question or any vote tonight be contingent upon an outcome to a question that you may have? So in other words, could we vote to approve this subject to confirmation that the town is not to incur monitoring costs? Or I guess it's not so much incurring costs, it's who's going to monitor and how is that going to be funded, right?
Yeah, because this was negotiated by the planning board, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so I don't know what they negotiated as part of.
Yeah, it was at a time, I don't think we had a full-time planner at this point, so we probably should check on these. I think it's prudent to check.
It may be possible that the planning department took that on as part of their responsibility, but I can't say. I will definitely look and call tomorrow morning, first thing. I'll get you the answers that you need.
Hello, this is Grant DeCoste from A.W. Perry, and I'm the project executive. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I took this, we went through a special permit process with the planning board. there was no monitoring requirement by the planning board discussed. Since this is not a 40B, there was no limited dividend, so it was pretty much, they're relying on the deed restriction,
Right.
which is part of this regulatory agreement, to govern how these units sell in the market. And so, someone can't go and cash this thing out 5 years down the road because of the deed restriction. It won't, it's a cloud on their title.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
and I believe, there's a process described in the deed restriction on the resale, how you have to go to a resale agent, and there's also limitations on the appreciated value of the unit. So that really covers all but it's something that's recorded at the registry, and it covers you from that house having something to it that would cause it not to be part of your SHI.
Fran, so walk me through that. So they go to sell their home. Who monitors like what they can sell it for?
It's actually written in the deed rider.
I understand it's written in the deed, but
It's
does the
also in the
seller pay for
regulatory
it? Who do they go to?
They
They can
have
go
to, in this particular case, they would go to EOHLC, and they would have to also notify the town that they want to sell their property. In the regulatory agreement and in the deed rider, there would be a resale price multiplier that would be calculated by EOHLC and placed in the regulatory agreement and the deed rider at the time of closing. But the deed rider is attached to the deed of the home. The home stays affordable whether somebody moves out or not. The affordability is for the home, not for the person or family. So they would have to follow kind of the guidelines and rules that EOHLC has for resale. They cannot buy it today for, say, $300,000 and sell it tomorrow for $800,000. It doesn't work like that. It's based on income. It's based on interest rates. It's a calculated price where they are still allowed to make some equity and they will make some money, but they're not going to buy it at an affordable rate and sell it at a market rate.
Good, Amy.
I think it's really important to have questions like this, like you're raising very good issues, very good questions. We should have a comfort level that that these units are going to be monitored, managed, and put in an affordable status in perpetuity as was intended. I'm not feeling that comfort. I think we have to be extra comfortable here. I don't see, I guess my question is for Rainey. So Rainey, I know that I had some questions about this right off the bat and talked to Amy Questle. I really objected to the use of a local initiative project being included in this. I've learned that it is kind of the standard language creation takes place. In our case, it wasn't a lip, so I have some language that when we do make a motion, I'd like the minutes to show, because I think it's important for future boards and town members to recognize. They may look at this regulatory agreement that we're looking at, and the term LIP is in there, and they may be confused and think that the town negotiated this project, which we did not. This was not a local initiative project. So it's important to highlight that, and it's important because this was not a negotiated process with the town as a LIP would be, to make sure that the questions that you're raising are fully answered because once we sign this, we're done. So
It was negotiated by the planning board.
right, so I think maybe council needs to just make sure that they read through this, get some answers to, Mike and Brian's concerns with some of the language, and give us a comfort level that that this is going to satisfy for affordable moving forward.
All right, so it sounds like there's some unfinished business on this, so we'll continue it for 2 weeks? Does that fit?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you're asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any reason that can't be continued for 2 weeks?
No, I don't see
Okay.
why we wouldn't want to do that.
And
And, you know,
we ha-
we have some really smart people in town, too. You know, Judy Barrett, I'm sure, would be happy to discuss this with the board. I talked to her about this. So, you know, I think there's some smart folks in town, too, that if town council can't be here, you can get some other answers.
All right, so we'll continue
Can
this.
I,
Is there a specific question? Otherwise, I can send her the link to the video and she can watch it.
I can email you mine in the interest of time.
It's fine with me.
And Brian
It
had
was
questions
what I
about
said
that.
before, but I can put it into like
I'll just go back to the video.
a sentence.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think, Mike, authorizing you to do an email is fine. It's the question you had, and then just really making sure that that we have some ability to enforce it, like, and monitor, enforce. To your point, what are we going to do, 5 years from now when sort of everybody's gone and the folks who are left are looking at the paperwork and it's unclear?
Yeah, they're like, I
So-
want to sell it for 640 and,
Yeah, well, that part's in
Yeah.
the deed rider,
I
but.
know, but who's monitoring it?
Yeah, exactly, other than the closing lawyers. Who,
Right.
Yeah,
Just want to close it.
yeah. All right. All right, thank you. We'll continue this for 2 weeks so we can get some of our questions answered with council.
okay.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate the board's time. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for indulging us in our
All right, next, last
you.
but not least, and thank you both for sitting for so long. Our apologies. This is a discussion pertaining to an article requested by the Select Board to move the date of annual town meeting. This will be presented by Rainey, but we have Susan Kelly, our town clerk, and Tara Wakefield, our assistant town clerk, who are both here. And again, thank you for being here.
So,
And as a preface for the viewers, do you mind if I read my memo?
Of course.
Yeah, it's kind of long. Can we get the executive summary?
Sure. I need the board to answer 2 questions. Does the board want to pursue moving the date of the annual town meeting from the second Saturday in March to a weeknight date in May? More specifically, a Tuesday night, which, if necessary, would be continued into Wednesday and Thursday nights? And the second question is, if not, would the board like to pursue moving the date of the annual town meeting from the second Saturday in March to the first Saturday in May, with the election to follow on the third Saturday in May? If necessary, the annual town meeting would be continued into Tuesday and Wednesday nights, since Option Technologies is not available for Monday night continuations.
Right, and the genesis of this is found in the budget process, where it was brought up by members of this board that it might make sense to push town meeting into April or May to give the town more time on the front end to work on the budget. And our town clerk, I think, has some very important and valid reasons to perhaps explain the other side of that coin, so to speak. So please go right ahead.
Thank you. Well, we know that town meeting is the select board's party. So you call the meeting, schedule the dates, and once you've done that, the logistics of recording votes and staffing become the responsibility of my office. I will say that we did a 50-year look back at town meeting dates, which is a fun exercise. In 50 years, 8 meetings were held in April. This is excluding COVID, which was a special circumstance. So twice in that 50-year period, town meeting voted to change the meeting from March to April. After those changes, they voted to change it back no later than 5 years after that change happened. So it went back to March pretty quickly.
Both times it was changed to April?
Both times it was changed to April.
And both times it went right back?
Both times it went, yeah. And if you don't recall, in Duxbury in, let's see, 1983, 2006, 2013, and 2016, there was an article presented to change the meeting from March to May. Failed all 4 times. While I realize that you're looking at the change to align the budgets for town and school to make that budgeting process easier, my concerns lie with logistics of staffing town meeting, but more importantly for me, staffing the election that would be 2 weeks later. We have, based on the current hours for the election, 40 to 80 seats to fill. It's a two-shift, mostly a two-shift working day. I currently have a list of 65 poll workers, and we feed into that additional students, Honor Society students, so we can round out the coverage. But I have seen demonstrated in previous events that we've held later in the spring. The later we go, the harder it is to staff. So at a minimum, I would need to be able to count on 50 people working at the polls. And my concerns, when I look at the dates in May, if we went to the second week in May for the town meeting and held the election as immediately as that Saturday, that Saturday is the day before Mother's Day, which I know can be problematic for some people. The third weekend in May, again, we're getting out into the season, the weather's getting warmer. I see that as a problem, not only for my staffing, but also the turnout of the people coming to vote. And then if we went out, we couldn't go out to the fourth weekend in May because that would be Memorial Day weekend.
What about the first, did anybody look at the first week, first Saturday of May?
Yeah,
Yeah, for the meeting.
we did, for the meeting.
I mean,
For the meeting, but then the election would have to be,
and
and
2 weeks later.
Yep.
is
Your goal,
problematic. I got it.
your goal was clear. You wanted to have it be the second Saturday in March to May. You wanted it sometime in May. So
I didn't have a goal.
well, that was the board's voted goal. It was number 9 on your list.
That sounds right.
I think that was,
The board's voted goal, trust me. I wouldn't be sitting here otherwise.
all right.
'Cause
Well, I disagree with that goal.
No, that's fine. No.
It may have been others on the board that
A majority
considered-
if you wanted.
Yes, that's fine.
So that's, we'll
Yeah.
get, that works. So I have no dog in this fight. I want to just make sure that we're doing it right. And to your initial point, yes, budget alignment was the premier reason, because right now we are in a situation where we start a new budget year on July 1, push a budget message out early August. By September, budgets are submitted, and we are waiting for and this is no fault of the schools, it's the way statute works. We wait for the schools to provide us with their enrollment numbers on August 1st. In this case, they will be they will be looking at the budget for the first time in this month, in November. Meanwhile, our 5A budget is wrapped up, and now we're working through the 5B budget. They won't be voting on, the school department will not be voting on its budget until the 10th, and my message to you, the completed budget message to you, is delivered on or about the 15th of December. What moving it does do is corrects that process, right? So we no longer worry about what's the school going to do, because the school's going to be doing it with us. So we're all aligned nice and neat. And then we go into a May meeting. What Susan didn't mention yet, but it's in the memo, to go into May with Option Technologies is a 30% upcharge. It's going to cost you 30% more to have our electronic voting at town meeting. Now, there are other players in this electronic voting game, obviously, but that's something to consider, and that's another cost of $15,000 to $20,000. Again, I'm not adverse to it. I'm simply providing you all the information that was in the memo.
Is that because other towns,
Yes, they're fully booked on Mondays. That's the other thing. They're all
Hold on,
booked.
Nancy's got something. Nancy?
Can I also add a couple of other items that would be,
Well, yeah, let me just finish this.
Oh, sure.
So you've got the upcharge, you've got the fact that Option Technologies can't do it on the first Monday if you were to go with a weekday, because they're fully booked with all the other committees. And by the way, that's through the month of May, so you'd have to start your town meeting on Tuesday. And if you were to do a continuation, you'd have to do it Wednesday into Thursday. And then you have the election aspect compounding that, because if you're too close, you may run the risk of not having enough players. Yes, please, go ahead.
sure, sorry, just a couple other items to think about.
You
too.
want-
To think about the local scene, and they are covering other town
Right.
meetings
No,
at that
yeah,
time.
I'll repeat that for the benefit of the mic. The local scene, the people who provide,
PAC-TV.
formerly
Yeah.
PAC-TV, the people who provide our live televised coverage of town meeting gavel to gavel, that becomes a factor too in terms of their availability, because they cover not just Duxbury, but other towns as well.
Right. And also town council. Yeah.
Town council's availability is tough. We will have town council there, but it most likely would not be the town council that we're used to, which is typically Jeff and Amy Questle, because they cover other towns in May. But they have a deep bench at KP Law, as you all well know, so they would provide us with somebody else, I'm sure.
The other thing I didn't check is I did not take the step to call the school to see what events they schedule in May at the PAC.
Yeah, I only checked June because I know that the first Saturday in June, I checked that with Danielle, is always graduation. And the second Saturday in May is always Mother's Day, and we want to avoid Memorial Day, which is always the last Monday in May. And also, to the benefit of the rest of the board, your fifth member is not here, and I know that he was greatly interested in this discussion too. We're not really seeking your vote on this tonight, but certainly your input, because we're going to continue this discussion at your next meeting also on the 17th. But I know you won't be here for that, so I wanted to get your input tonight while you're here and figure out where you guys want to fall. That's why we.
It does not sound like it can work for me. It really doesn't.
Well, it can, but not without challenges. And it's different than the way we've done it for the past, what do we say, 31
50
years?
years.
Well, no, 31, it's been on this date for the last 31, since 1994. That was the last time it was changed.
And it was May that I personally am fine with a March town meeting. I understand why there's, it would make things, the financials, easier, not easier, but, making more sense. Does April not fit that bill if you were to change it into sometime in April? Does that not help that situation, or it's not?
You'd have to revote your goal.
But you
Well,
also have,
let's say hypothetically we did that.
Yeah.
you have to be concerned with Passover and
Yeah, Easter.
April
School vacation.
School vacation. You have a week in there that it's going to,
Why,
Easter.
Yeah.
really, why,
Holy Week.
the last few times that was in April and they switched it to March, do you have the reasons for that, why they did that?
I don't. That
Yeah,
was the last
we have all
time.
the actions taken on the third page of the memo and the date in which it happened.
That was 1989 was the last time it was
I should remember that.
changed back to
I
March.
know.
Actually, I thought it was 94.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yes, you are.
In 94.
Yeah.
That was
There are a number of communities that have their town meeting in May,
many.
and we're the outlier.
Yep.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I know when I speak to people, they say, oh, wow, you have a March town meeting, that seems pretty early. Is there, I guess, to the extent anybody remembers any discussions at town meeting before, what the rationale is or the need to keep it in March is as opposed to May when other communities seem to do okay?
Honest to God, in our conversations, all we came up with is, and I hate this response, but that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
And also, we did it that way 30 years ago. If we were back in time, 30, 40, 50 years,
They did it then, too.
yeah, they did it then too, right? You're right, Amy, you go back 50 years, they're
50
moving it all
years.
over the place since 1975, so they moved it around and we don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess another thing that pops into my mind, and again, just hashing this out, not making a decision, we have a number of snowbirds who live here during the good weather and then leave us when the going gets a little tough weather-wise. They don't, unless I suppose they can all fly back to come to town meeting, but there's, I think, a growing number of folks who would have the opportunity to participate in town meeting if we move to May. That's a comment I've heard in the community.
The folks that I did a random sampling of all said, if the weather's good, I'm not coming.
I'm
So,
not coming.
I'm not coming to town
Yeah, if you
meeting.
get a
if the weather's
75-degree
Yeah.
day out,
I
it's like,
actually.
Okay,
as-
so that cuts both
I'm
ways.
gonna have to try and get you
All right.
guys to
As
come.
part of my
Mike,
look
somebody's
back,
shaking his head.
Anna.
It was a Saturday in May. People didn't want it moved to a Saturday in May. Dylan suggested a Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, it was the weather,
It's a
but I
Saturday and
also,
the
Then the Monday night thing, that's what we talked about that a long
Yeah.
time too. And I am very familiar with Monday night meetings because most of the towns I've worked in had them. And they would carry on, if they went from a Monday night, then it would go into Tuesday, Wednesday. Harwich was notorious for going deep into Thursday. That was a different era. But then you have another factor, that you are past daylight savings time, so it's lighter out later. So senior population can get to and from town meeting, presumably. It does sometimes truncate the amount of discussion because people realize, oh, okay, we're starting at, let's say, 7. We're going to have this tonight wrapped up by 9 and 9:30, and so conversations tend to get a little tighter, a little quicker. And then they'll go into the second day and it gets a little tighter. Same with the third. By the third, you're hustling to get through stuff.
Right.
That's what my experience has been.
Okay.
So that's another option for you to explore, but then you run into the problem we have of not having our normal vendor, which is Option Technologies.
Can we hire somebody who has buttons that just say yes and no?
Yeah, well, they're not, like
In
I
a
said,
different company.
We don't need to
There
do
are
one
they're
and
not the only game in
One
town.
for
and we're
yes,
gonna
two
look
for
into
no.
that.
They are not the only company.
I'm just kidding, by the way, but.
We did work with another company for 2 years. We've been working with Option for 11, and we started using them 11 years ago. 2 years ago, for 2 years during that time, we used another company, and we ran into difficulty. Their system did not accommodate our technical requirements. There are other companies that clerks use, but they don't offer the soup to nuts, come and run it for you.
Got it. Okay.
Option will come, set the system up, they run it, they leave. I can't do that.
Sure,
And take
yeah.
the minutes. I don't know that our IT department has the staff to dedicate people to set that up and run that.
Yeah.
Or you
No,
go
that
back-
makes
you can
sense.
go back to hand counts, too.
Yeah, we could do that.
Oh,
We have to hire some tellers.
That
That will be going into the
You
next
will be
week.
if you're doing Tuesday nights in May.
Exactly. That
There won't be
that's
so
somebody
many
worked for
people there.
500 years.
So, just one other question I have, given that technology is, or the situation has changed a little bit in terms of just the election. So, is the risk of a potential fewer number of poll workers as much of an issue now as it may have been maybe 5 or 10 years ago with the advent of mail-in voting and early voting?
We still have to staff the polls.
You staff it as if everybody's showing up that day?
Yes, we have
Okay.
to. By law, we have to have certain seats covered.
Okay.
I will be coming to you, I don't know which 17th or the one after that, to discuss reducing hours of the town election, which could affect how many people, depending on what hours we are actually open at the
Okay.
polls.
So the mail-in early voting doesn't affect your needs in terms of head
On the
count,
day.
but the hours might?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Cindy, do you have something?
Just that I think that Fernando was the one that was really pushing this, and he's not here tonight.
Right.
That's why we're going to continue it on the 17th. But we wanted to get at least Amy's input, because she's here now.
Yeah, I don't see how it can work. I think Susanna's hit the nail on the head, you know, people don't want to take a beautiful Saturday in May, so if we could figure it out for maybe a weekday in May, but I'm also not a fan of spending more of the town's money to do that, so I would hope that we could get a vendor that, and I like the idea of yes and no, but, you know, that could accommodate that, and maybe the town, maybe we could get more people to turn out. That would be great, but it doesn't sound like any of these, you know,
Yeah.
it's doable.
Thus, our predicament,
Yeah,
that's why we're
here
sitting
we
here
go.
now.
So Fernando's going to have some comments,
Yes.
I know, and he's going to watch this. Hi,
Yes.
Fernando. And he's going to come
Hi,
to the next
Fernando.
meeting.
Yes.
And then I'd like to hear a little bit more from the public. I know it's not a public hearing and it's our decision, but I want to be respectful of our town clerk, who does a terrific job, and the assistant, of course, both of whom I know are up to their eyeballs at election time. And I don't want to contribute
This would be
to that,
the
but.
town's decision, wouldn't it go to town meeting?
This is an article, we're trying to phrase it correctly.
The decision as to whether we even ask the question
Okay,
as a
got
board to town meeting.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're looking at now. Because it may be that if we get some input from folks who would ultimately make the decision to say, don't even bother, we're not interested, then I think that makes it easy for us. But if there's, you know, a room full of people saying, finally, what took you so long, then maybe we do put it to town meeting. So, but I just don't know that we
God,
have
I
that
wonder if we
information.
should do like a straw poll, like an exploratory question with the voters at town meeting. Hey, here's the options, tell us what you want, and use your yes, no. We like Monday night, we like Tuesday night.
That's a great idea, actually.
Vet it out that way, and then the next year, you flip it out into a real article. I don't know.
Not a bad idea.
Although, but you're asking the people who are already there.
At that meeting, but you know what? They're the players, right?
True, but you don't have the snowbirds in that case, unless they all charter a plane back north.
But we can send them all this
But-
video right here.
But like Susan was saying, they're not coming back for a town meeting, they're coming back to sit on the beach on a Saturday in May.
I don't know,
If
I
it's nice
haven't
out.
heard that. There's a lot of civically minded people in
There's
town.
a
who
two-year
certainly-
ramp up already because of the conversation. Here we are in November of '25, and if it's going to be kind of the straw poll thing in
Yeah.
March of '26, then they're really going to think about it for March of '27.
All right.
And they can alter their plans, perhaps.
There you go.
I do believe in what I've been looking at, that turnout for an election or a town meeting is issue-driven,
Oh, yeah.
regardless
sure,
of
yeah.
the
Oh,
time of
yeah.
the year. And so even if I were in Florida or somewhere and there was something that was that important to me, I would make sure that my voice
Sure.
was heard.
Remember, and Husk being the perfect example,
Yes.
I kept trying to ask him to get it to the March town meeting, but instead we had 1,000 people show up in February.
Yeah.
And boy,
That
they were
was
there.
something.
Right.
So we're making no decisions right now. We're going to get
not.
Fernando's input. Are you able to join us at our next meeting?
Whatever you guys decide, I'm good.
Or one of you?
We're putting it on in front, though.
Yeah.
I promise.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's never good to follow Joanne, first of all, but yeah, no.
All right, any other question, and Amy especially, because I want you to have
No,
the
I'm
opportunity.
good. Whatever you guys decide, I mean, I'm
Okay,
good. I'll show up.
either way, right?
You'll be there anyway, right? Perfect,
All
that's
right,
what we need.
thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Susan.
Very helpful.
Thanks, Tara.
All right, next we have the town manager's report. Mr. Reed.
Just a couple of quick things for you.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Tara.
Yes, thank you both, Susan and Tara. I know we talked about the municipal aggregation hearings coming up. The deadline for which to opt out is November 18th. I just wanted to let people know that. It'll be part of the presentation that people may or may not choose to attend later in the week. The Ellison Playground, where
Oh,
you...
sorry, before you, I thought you were going to keep going with that.
No.
Is there anything in there about folks who already have an independent supplier? So, for example, there's, you've, all right,
That
because
we- in
I've
fact-
spoken with at least one person
Yep.
who,
I had a conversation today with
Who's
somebody up
not?
in Susan's office who's fully solar.
Yes.
He wants to know, what do I do? And we said, go to the meeting and they're going to tell you exactly what to do.
okay.
You don't
So-
do anything.
Yeah, I think that's the answer, is you don't need to do anything.
Right. And he
Because
wanted to
you're
know
not
about
getting-
that, so he's
Nancy?
going to go to that.
Yeah, you do get a different mailing saying that you're not eligible until you disengaged from that third
Okay,
party.
all right, so they got something directly?
Yes,
Or
they
will
do.
be getting something, okay.
Yeah.
There's a separate
All right,
mail.
excellent,
Yeah.
thank you.
With regard to the Ellison Playground, work has started on the installation of the new padding, which you had recently approved.
Great.
Okay.
And then finally, very quickly, but importantly, I wanted to wish Chris Morey from the Duxbury Police Department a long, healthy, and happy retirement. On Friday, he had his last day after 38 years in service to the department. I don't know if any of you knew Chris, he was a terrific guy. He was at everything, seemed to do everything, and on the day of his retirement, he had 3 calls. So he was actually late to his own retirement party, which was kind of ironic because it shows you the kind of service he is. He was always one of those quiet, calm, collected people, a delight to work with, and of course, I'm going to miss him terribly. The good news is he's going to stay on as a special, so we will see him around town. If you see him, of course, wave
good.
and tell him we hope he's enjoying his
That's
retirement.
great.
Thank you for your service.
Yep.
Yes,
He's a
thank
good
you.
egg.
Thank you.
That's
He's a good
terrific.
egg.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was that. That's all I got.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Any questions for the town manager?
No?
All right, committee appointments and reappointments.
I move that the select board appoint or reappoint the following. Appoint Catherine Redmond to the Conservation Commission for a term to expire on 6/30/2028, and to reappoint to the Sidewalk and Bike Path Committee Thomas Daly and Nancy Johnson, both with terms to expire on 6/30/28.
Is that?
Dacey.
Yeah, Tom Dacey.
Sorry, what did I
Yep.
Daily does. Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries
Aye.
4-0. Thank you, Tom and Nancy, for continuing your service, and welcome, Catherine.
The following boards and committees have available seats. 1 seat on the Alternative Energy Committee, as well as the Board of Health, the Design the Review Board, the Economic Advisory Committee, and the Nuclear Advisory Committee. And 3 seats are available on the Duxbury Bay Management, Municipal Commission on Disabilities, and the Taxation Aid Committee. If anyone's interested in volunteering on a board or a committee, you're encouraged to fill out a talent bank form, which can be found on the town's website under the Forms and Documents tab.
Thank you. We have one-day liquor licenses. The first is for November 9th, 2025, an artist opening and reception at the Art Complex Museum.
Is anybody here? I move that Ms. L. Jarvis, as a representative of H. Cole Club LLC, the caterers, and on behalf of the Duxbury Art Complex Museum, is granted a one-day wine and malt license to hold an artist opening reception event on Sunday, November 9th, 2025, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Art Complex Museum, 189 Alden Street, subject to the conditions of the license.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. Next is Friends of the Council on Aging Black Tie Bingo for January 31st, 2026.
I move that Mr. Paul Brogna, as a representative of the Friends of the Duxbury Council on Aging, is granted a one-day wine and malt license to hold a black tie bingo night on Saturday, January 31st, 2026, at the Duxbury Senior Center located at 10 Mayflower Street from 6 to 10:30 p.m., subject to the conditions of the license.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. And thanks to the Friends, I think we heard tonight a little bit about their charitable activities, and sincerely appreciate what they do for the town. Next are event permits. First is Newcomers Holidays on November 30th.
I move that Ms. Catherine Sapra, as a representative of the Duxbury Newcomers Club, is granted an event permit for the Holidays celebration to be held on Sunday, November 30th, 2025, from noon to 4 p.m., subject to the conditions of the permit.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll
Best
call
day
for
of the
vote.
year.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. And the final event permit is for the Rotary Club Festival of Lights on the Town Green for November 30.
I move that Mr. David Connors, as a representative of the Duxbury Rotary Club, is granted an event permit for the annual Festival of Lights celebration to be held on the Millennium Town Green on Sunday, November 30th, 2025, from 3 to 5 p.m., set up starting at 1 p.m., clean up by 7 p.m., subject to the conditions of the permit.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries 4-0. Announcements, please.
The Municipal Aggregation Public Informational Forum. Members of the Alternative Energy Committee and representatives of Colonial Power Group will be hosting 2 informational sessions regarding the town's new municipal aggregation program on the following dates. November 5th, 2025, from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Senior Center in the second floor large classroom, and again on November 6th, 2025, from 10 to 11 a.m. Same place, Senior Center, second floor, large classroom. There is a remote option available via Zoom, and you can join that meeting at www.zoom.us. Meeting ID number is 898-3422-0824, and the passcode is 244661. For more information, visit the Alternative Energy Committee's web page at the town's website, or visit Colonial Power at www.colonialpowergroup.com/Duxbury, or call Colonial Power at 866-485-5858, extension 1. Town Hall offices will be closed on Tuesday, November 11th, in observance of Veterans Day. And the next scheduled Select Board meeting will be on Monday, November 17th at 6:30 p.m. in this room, the Mural Room.
Just one correction to that. That is our next regular open meeting. We do have an executive session coming up on the 5th, is it?
Wednesday morning,
Wednesday,
right? Yep.
the 5th.
Yeah. So we will be opening that in open session, but it'll be executive session only for the subject matter.
Alrighty.
All right. Any other questions, comments, issues? All right, may I have a final motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4-0. Thanks, everybody.